The haunting hour is at hand. Ghostly hauntings since time began. Raw side paranormal seeks the truth, looking for some kind of real proof. Creepy floorboards and every dark mist. Grab your camera and document this. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the wrong side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. The icy air touches your neck. You feel like screaming, but you stay in check. Orbs rising up to take the magical flight. You can't believe what's happening tonight. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side.
Hey, 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 happy Wednesday to everybody. It's hump day, guys. How's it going, everybody? I'm glad everyone could join us and welcoming the Haunted Truth. Let's see who we've got before we bring Mark aboard. It's Faith, lovely Faith. How are you? Hi, Mr. Wayne. Dragon, how's it going? How's it going? Miss Janelle, so glad you could join us. Hello, Richard. How are you? Lovely, lovely. See who else is with us. Jay, did you come back in? Jay was wondering what was going on because we're on earlier than normal. But I always try to hook up my UK interviews a little bit earlier because I hate to have everybody on so late at night in the UK. So I try to bend the rules a little. How's it going, Michael? Thank you for joining. And welcome everybody. Okay, how's it going? Let's see who else. Oh, Firefox. Hi, sweetie. How are you? Nice to have everybody in. And I just want you guys to also remember, if you're willing or want to support my channel, I would really appreciate it. There is a link at the top of the chat. You click on that and it'll bring you right to a spot where you can buy me a coffee or buy a membership. It's up to you guys. It's there for the use. And would you guys please put your hands together and welcoming Mark from Haunted Truth. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me? Is it working?
It's working. Everything's working beautifully. I'm glad you got in. When I started setting this up, and I had a big warning flashing on the screen that they were doing maintenance or something and having trouble connecting with Facebook and all this. I'm thinking, oh, crap. But thank God you made it, and we're all here in one piece. Did you have a good day today?
Oh, I've had a lazy day.
Lazy day.
Yeah. I thought to myself, it's nearly Christmas. Instead of just constantly filming and constantly editing, just have a bit of me time.
There you go. Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, just chill out.
Exactly. It's been pouring all day today. It's just wet and miserable. And thank God it's not snow because we would have been buried. Totally buried. Hi. Let's see who's jumping in. Julie. Hi, Julie. Hi, Cynthia. Wonderful that you guys could join us. She says, wow, I've never been in one of these lives. Hey, everybody. It's all just open flow, very laid back in the chat. And in the interview. So everybody enjoy. No pressure here whatsoever. So uh, tell us about you first. A lot of people have heard about Haunted Truth
Yeah.
and the adventures you guys had, but I always like to ask my guests about who they are personally, and so we just get a
No,
little bit of inside scoop.
no one's ever asked that before. It's very interesting. So my name's Mark, but I sort of adapted the name Mad Mark when I was quite young because I was quite eccentric, different to everybody else. So I sort of took on this sort of ideology of Mad Mark. Before I did anything paranormal or anything like that, I always knew that I wanted to do something to do with entertaining. There's video clips of me as like a child. Like every time my dad put a camera on me, I'm like, "Hello, welcome," sort of idea. And I had other channels prior to Haunted the Truth. Like I did Mad Mark channel where I made loads of parodies. I, did like sort of sketches sort of thing. I then started learning close up card tricks and I can perform that sort of stuff. You're gonna put me on the spot, aren't you? I just realized. So that's something I sort of adopted as like a job that I do now. That's what I get paid to do is work in bars doing card tricks to people. But
That's pretty
initially,
neat.
I wanted to get into media, like so I went and did like a degree in media, and I got my degree, but then found out that it was like really difficult to actually get into the industry. It's not like you do a degree for like a doctorate and you finish your doctorate and then you're a doctor.
Right.
This is like you finish your degree and they want you to make coffees for people. It'd be like a doctor finishing their degree and then saying, right, you're on reception. That's how
Right.
it's very
Oh,
weird.
geez. Yeah, I guess
A lot
so.
to unpack with me, actually. Yeah.
So that's what you do as a job, is you perform card tricks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna put you on the spot. You got cards? Ah,
There's always something somewhere. I'll do one for you, just quite a basic one. Just realised I've just dumped them down on my keys. I was looking for them keys earlier. Down there. Right. It's a very basic one, that one.
well, holy shit.
Yeah, very basic.
Ta-da! Good job. Very nice. Faith loves your accent. Tell us, what part of the UK are you from, Mark?
Oh, I'm from the southwest in the UK, so the area I live in is called Bristol, and it's sort of like where you get like the idea of like the farmer accent, like when people go "Ooh, are," and the pirate, the ideology behind pirates came. The old style pirate accent came from where I live because Edward Teach, also known as Blackbeard, lived in Bristol and he used to drink in the pub not far from like an area that I work.
Right.
So that whole like, "Arr, we best be going to the seven
Ah.
seas. We must go find." That was all because of the Bristol accent.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, because I do hear that now. Now she did the pirate, yeah, uh,
Yeah.
the accent with the pirate talk. They do that in the movies. That's what you're gonna hear. So yeah, cool,
Hmm.
cool. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Okay, sir, let us know what made you get into the paranormal field.
So, um, as somebody that was like really interested in, I mean, I used to believe. Let's start at the beginning. I used to actually believe in like things like ghosts and stuff when I was really little, when I was like 14. Um, and then as I got older, one of my like good friends, he's now a computational scientist in chemistry, and then he started like putting logic in my brain, and then when I started learning more about like things that through like the card tricks I do, I started learning about magicians and like charlatans, fakery, and stuff like that. So initially, my perception was right. There's got to be an answer for what these things are going on. So I started off as a skeptic on a hunt to figure stuff out and then explain it to people and then call out anybody that I thought was a charlatan. However, I did that for years, just going on paid events, like booked events and stuff like that. And I was like, right, that's the wind, that's your pipes, that's this, that's that, Mr. Know It All. I then started doing Haunting the Truth with Chris, who's no longer part of Haunting the Truth. And he took me to an area and said that, he showed me a video from that he did with an old footage for people he did in his past. And I was like, okay, well, let's go have a look. Took me to this area. And I started off, with a normal, well, it's this, it's that. And then I got to the end of this bridge, and then I heard something run towards me that I couldn't see. And then I sort of then had another experience. There's an episode on my channel, is like the Poltergeist House series, so the demonic Poltergeist House. I can't remember the names of them, but it's
Right.
I seen a toy which I've got up there now, move, like literally wobble and then fall over by itself. I watched a ladder lift up and slam down. I've seen toys fly out of rooms. I took a bell, like a ding, put that in the bathroom. That went off by itself. So then it went from me going, right, I'm going into this to try and figure stuff out. It's more now I'm intrigued to try and understand what it is that's doing these things. And I can understand why people now I can understand why people believe in ghosts and say that it's a ghost. I can understand it.
Right. Oh, well, we're losing your sound there. Could you
Hello?
just okay, there you are. All right. I didn't want to miss wonder if we were getting a bad connection. As far as your team, explain to us who is on your team and what is
So now
go ahead.
it's myself and Josh.
Right. And it was larger before because
It
you
was,
did
yes.
mention that it's a couple of your teammates had decided to go their own way.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to affect how you perform as a paranormal team now that it's only going to be the two of you?
Well, I've already sort of put some like strings in motion to change things slightly. So I opened up the doors because before it was very inclusive. So it was like the people that were coming with us, they were either paying because they were coming to an event that we did, or they were physically in the team, and it was that inclusive team and no one else. Whereas now I've like opened it up to everyone that I know pretty much. So
Right.
like friends that have been asking me for years, can they come along, are now able to come along. That makes sense.
Right, to share the experience with you.
Yeah. So I've had a couple of new people come
Right.
along, and obviously if I see that they're enjoying it, I see that they're not messing about or anything like that, and they do have free time to come along to things, they may become like a permanent member. But at the moment it's all whoever.
Right, right. Wayne says, "Ooh, put strings in motion." Is Mark trying to say he's faking by pulling strings? Just kidding.
Do you know one thing about strings? Fun fact, right? Because obviously I've come from a debunking mindset. They actually show up on night vision, and they so when the infrared hits the string, even as if it's invisible thread, when it hits that string, it bounces back to the camera's sensor, so it
Right.
actually shows up like a big string. I only found
Yeah.
out about it because I was messing with some fishing line to do. What was it? My dad. I think it's like my dad needed something to do with the fishing line, and I was messing about with it, and then someone told me about the infrared, so I tested it.
So that's good. So, well, another question I'm going to ask is, how important is debunking to you? And do you do it while investigating, or do you wait until afterwards and then go over the footage?
This is something that I've struggled to fully know what's the right thing to do, because on the one hand, well, obviously, if it's something like obvious. So like, let's say I'm in a location and something's like, "Rah!" And then we're like, oh, what's that? And then a fox walks past. Then it's in the moment. It's right there and then. But if it's something regarding what I do, if it's something that I don't really know A or B with, I kind of leave it up to the audience now. So I might have my penny's worth and say, it might be this, but then I'll be like, but what do you think? Because
Right.
I don't know. I started to find that if you went through like mad experience, so let's say I was out with you and we went somewhere and it went mental, and then at the end of it, I was like, well, it could have been this and it could have been that. You kind of destroy the entire experience that a watcher's just had if they are wanting to believe that it's the paranormal by then saying, well, actually, this was all nonsense. I think it was this. So it depends on what narrative you're trying to put out there.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's a different way to look at it because most of the time, most me and myself and others that I've known when we're investigating, we always actually debunk as we go along and put that right out there so that nobody's misinformed about what's going on
Hmm.
at the site that we're at. Um,
In regards
okay,
to in what sense though? Because obviously, if
just
it's like self-explanatory, then
right. Well, I mean, it's just the same thing. Like,
yes.
if a door closes or something, and then okay, are you going to try to figure out why that door closed at that moment?
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant
Right,
like because I've obviously had like items go across rooms in some cases, and when it comes to things like that, it's kind of left as like well, that's just impossible. Like that's just defied the laws of physics. There is no way of debunking that. But when it comes to things like you're saying, like a door closes, for example, yes, of course, I look into it. Last episode I did, I can't remember what it was now. It might have been the one before. I was somewhere and something similar happened, and then I tried so I was myself and Josh. We were in this old farmhouse, and I had a sensor which has been made. So it's kind of like a REM pod, but I don't like REM pods. So this is a door alarm which has been modified with an aerial. So if you get near it, it bleeps, but it also picks up motion. So if you stamp, it picked that up. It was in the opposite room, and as I went to go down the stairs, it went. "Blue, blue, 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 blue." So then
right.
Josh was like, "Come back up the stairs," and then I walked back down the stairs, and then it didn't do it again. And then I came back up and I walked back down, and it didn't do it again. So in that sense, yes, I
During
do kind of.
are you like let's say okay, you're checking like for uneven floorboards or whatever would make
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
door move, or if see if the door was hung correctly, stuff like that. Do you like bring a level with you? Because there's a lot of people that will check for level and things like that. As far as just this random door closing on its own.
Hmm.
Uh,
We had similar in the clock tower when I ran an event. So I ran an event there, and the door was witnessed by two people closing on its own. So then I got up and walked over to it to push it open, and then I found that the carpet underneath was catching on the door. So even if you pull it to pull it shut, you have to properly pull it shut because it's getting caught on the carpet. So it's like,
right,
and I was
right.
like,
Yeah, so it's causing a drag. Yeah, so that's
there's
great.
no way the wind's just done that. That's genuinely closed by something I can't
Right.
see. Which is weird.
So I hope I'm going to say your name right, Calandra. Hope I didn't butcher that too bad. But yeah, she says I always look for uh, they always look
Uneven
for
floors.
yeah, uneven floors, pets hiding behind somewhere. Same thing like rats in the walls, which is a big, you never know. So yeah, you got to check for all that stuff. So that's good. Because there are a lot of groups that don't debunk as they go along, and I just think that's a big mistake because you're documenting what you're doing.
Hmm.
I mean, how do you document as your findings as you go along in an investigation?
So, I mean,
Welcome, Al.
if something happens, I try to get a repeat of the thing that's happened. So, if I go copy me and then I hear a bang, I'm like, oh, right, okay. Can you do that again? Bang, bang. And I want not one knock, normally 2 or 3, because one knock could just be, you know, something expanding. Unless it's
Right.
like a giant, like, like someone stomping. And in which case, then if it's upstairs, I have to then go check to make sure something's not fallen over or something to that degree, depending on where it is. If it's like a decrepit building, because a lot of the times it is, going upstairs might not be the safest option. So you just have to go, well, something could have fell.
Right.
It really
Hi, Andrew.
depends. But documenting as I go, I mean, it's all on camera. And then I sort of just try to get as much stuff to happen in the 4 to 8 hours that I'm in a location.
Right.
And then I get home, and then that's when I watch it through, and I watch every single ounce. So I've got these little tiny ones. I've got 3 of these, 2 Sony night vision cameras, and a DSLR style Sony camera as well. And and my phone camera. So sometimes I have to watch every single one of these angles to make sure nothing is happening in any one of the angles. It takes forever.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. How did you set up so that you could catch everything from every angle? I know it's very difficult, but that's the questions you're going to get from naysayers. Well, gee, if they had this angle, then we would be able
Do
to
you know
see
what?
what's
It's
going
so annoying. It's almost like
on. Excuse me.
dare I say this? It's almost like the entity or the thing or whatever it is that your personal belief is doesn't actually want to be filmed. It's so weird because I've had it where I've gone, right, I've got angle here, got angle there, got angle here, got angle there, got angle there, and then that one place where I've not got something, that's where it happens, and it's like, why?
Yeah, I know. Well, like I said, they don't perform, when you want them to, and it's always when the camera is off. Hi, Florna. Welcome, welcome.
I've
And I'm
tried
so glad to see you here, Andrew. Thanks for stopping in. Good luck on your phone call. Um,
trying
so
something the
yeah,
other day. It
that's
was funny.
that's now as far as I've always said to people, you have your camera in your hand, you might have one in the corners of the room. Have you ever thought about wearing like a body cam on your back as well to catch what's going on behind you?
Do you know what I did think about once? I thought about buying a 360-degree camera that you put on your helmet and it can see in free, so the viewer can actually spin it round in the in the
Right.
moment.
That would be great.
It cost a fortune, and the difficult part was lighting and stuff, and finding like, especially when you go lights out completely and do night shot mode, because that's then you're really limiting yourself when you go night shot. But it has to be done sometimes because the lore says it's all lore. No, I've got no evidence for it, but it
Exactly.
says that these things prefer the dark. They prefer being in darkness. I painted
I
my
just think
door
they
black.
show up better in the dark.
Well, yeah, but
That's pretty
I
much
think
it.
there is a lore. So I painted my door black, and then I was on a live once, and someone said to me, "Oh, you don't want to do that," and I was like, "Why?" And it was like, "Oh, that's where everything nasty will hide, is in the darkness of your door, because it's black." And I'm just like, okay, you know what I
In
mean?
the
There's no
corner
evidence
of the
for it.
house, right? So, um, yeah, what I would like to, before you do a filmed investigation, do you go through the property during the daytime to see what you're walking into? I mean, just as far as like a safety precaution, do you do like a quick
It
run
depends
through?
where it is. So if it's far away, what I tend to do is I go onto YouTube, and then I will type the name of the place in that I'm going to, and then I go to like within a year to see if someone else has gone there, just so I can get an idea of like what it looks like and what to expect.
Right.
Because it's not feasible to travel like 2 hours to the place in the day and then travel back up there again. Like it's the petrol costs in the UK are extortionate. It's just I wouldn't be able to afford to do that. So there is
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of risk with that. Sometimes just blindly going into places because you can't even find
Exactly.
them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you don't know if you've got like a vagrant in there or some kind of wild animals hanging out, and
Normally I have a
uh,
plan B though. So the farmhouse in Wales, I had a plan B because I went with Josh and I was like, look, We'll go there. I'll get out. We'll look round. If it's accessible, brilliant. If it's not run down or too dangerous, then we'll just crack on with it. If not, I got plan B. So I looked at another area in that area.
Right. Oh, that's good. So yeah, you
Yeah.
always got a fallback plan. Hi, Julie. Welcome, honey. Um, my question is, do you find now that you're at a hindrance because it's only the two of you guys, or before there was four of you?
Well, it wasn't always four of us
Okay.
continuously in places. So it was either myself and Chris or myself and Josh, and then the others would roll up as and when to locations possibly. I did a lot of collaborations with other teams as well. There was like a massive collab with several teams, which also included the wonderful Ranger Pool, which I will stand by as a absolute interesting human being, most
Oh, yes,
interesting
he
human being
is.
I've ever met in my
Any
life.
chance of him coming back or no?
I'll do my best to try and talk to him because
That's
I'm
a
still in
shame. 'Cause
conversation. I am still in conversation with him. He said that he doesn't want to get involved with the social media aspect of things, but then he also said that he hasn't gone anywhere and he's looking to do some stuff in the future, but he hasn't told me what. He's very do you know what? It'd be quicker for me to find a ghost than to figure out what Ranger Paul's going to
exactly,
do.
exactly. As he is definitely a character.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I
Uh,
did a lot with him. So I went up, the first time I met him, I went to Hoppus Woods, which is up by his, and there was stories about witches there. And we had some very weird stuff go on there. I mean, yeah, you're in the woods, there's going to be animals, there's going to be noises and sounds and stuff like that. But there was stuff like chucked to us from an area where no one was. And then I started going storming around the forest trying to find if there's anybody there. I was going off on my own. And then, of course, this place is huge. So it's like, well, I'm going to get lost. So I had to come back. And there was just like areas where we thought we seen people. But then when we went to go to the area where the people were seen, it was like all brambles and just overgrown.
hmm.
So then you're left with the unknown. Do you know what? My
Right.
question is for you and everybody else here as well. If you're left with no other conclusion on something, so let's say I've got this and then it was over there and it came across the room and it flew in it and it hit something, but it hasn't exploded, so it isn't like an air pressure thing or anything. I've covered all grounds. Is it then something that you would consider as paranormal, or is it something that's just currently unknown within the scientific field?
Myself, I would, of course, investigate all avenues as far as why it presumably flew across the room. I mean, it could have just fell off the shelf and appeared to be flying across the room. Caused by vibration
Mm,
or just little things like that. But if you get to the point where you're not 100% sure, I wouldn't call it paranormal as well because you're not 100% sure.
yeah, because I've been
So it's just left
scrutinized
in the
by
left on the
sitting on the
unknown
fence.
shelf. Yeah.
I've been heavily scrutinized for sitting on the fence. I mean, I've even had conversations directly with Parpol over the phone, and he's even said to me that one thing he can't understand is with the amount of evidence of things that I've captured, why I still stand my ground and say that I don't, that I'm an open skeptic. Why do I still stand that? Why have I not turned believer by definition of the things that have happened to me? And this is a question that has confused many people with me. Um, it's simply for what you're saying. It's because I don't know. Like,
Right.
unless I get a full spectral being appear in front of me, how do I know that that's a ghost?
Right. So yeah, you have to leave it on, just in the unknown.
Yeah, but I
Um,
try to. I think the only time I've lent into the paranormal side of things is with my own personal belief of what I think it could be. And
right.
that sort of goes into the sci-fi realm. So I like the idea of cross-dimensional creatures, like stuff that's living alongside our plane in the fourth dimension. It's a fun idea.
Well, so that will leads up to the question: what do you believe happens to people when they pass on from this physical life? What do you believe we become?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. I've I I've heard many stories from people that, you know, if it was stuff that I had happened to me, I would be saying, yes, I'm convinced with this. I'm convicted that you pass over to like another realm or another dimensional space or a spectral space or something to that degree. But because I've not experienced it personally myself, I don't actually know. I've only ever seen the effect of things. So items being thrown or want something whistled in my ear, um, things banging like bump bump, like copying. So like it's
Right.
like some sort of like sentient being. So I'm now going to copy me, and then it copies me. Weird things like that. But is it enough to say it's the person that died? In my head, not at the moment, but I can see why people would say it is. And it's an ongoing journey to find out if it is that. But I don't have
Okay.
sufficient evidence at the moment,
So
apart
you have
from
no like religious belief or background that would lean you towards a certain belief of what happens after we pass away.
no, I mean, I'm brought up like, you know, in a sort of my mum was Catholic, my dad was Protestant, and obviously they believed in God. And my mum believes in heaven, she believes in angels, and she's got like a little altar downstairs, like and stuff that in the house where she believes in like she does this stuff. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know too much about it. It confuses me. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but yeah, okay. It's each to their own, and I never.
Right.
I'm not out there to diminish people's beliefs or diminish people's ideas. So if somebody says to me, "My house is haunted. I've got a ghost here. It's the guy that died here." Like, great. If you believe that and that's what you think it is, brilliant. But I'm not going to try and push my ideology of, well, it could be a dimensional creature onto you any more than I think is acceptable for them to push it onto me. I think
Eh,
we should both have our own understanding of it.
exactly. Okay. All right. Calandra wants to know, do you have a checklist of things like how to close the road is or nearby buildings so you can make sure to discount noises from those things?
Do you know, if I could close the roads, my oath, that would be Halfway Farm, right? Did you see the episodes from Halfway Farm? It's an area which I've done a couple of episodes on, and I recently took it upon myself to like personally um do like a massive investigation. So I went there on my own not too long ago because another team did it as well, and they said for me to do it. And I've been looking through the footage, and like you're saying, with the road being noisy, for the first hour of me being there, it was like, vroom, 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 and I was like, so
Right.
short answer, no.
So there you go. Like as
Yeah.
Andrew's saying that, yeah, well, usually we investigate at night because there is less noise and light pollution, which is correct. And the mind is also set on the edge at night because of the primal brains and things left ingrained in us from the cave days.
That's what he's referring to there is the fight or flight mechanism. Um, basically being ready for the bear in the dark. But the some people believe. So Chris, that was used to work with One of the Truth. He believes um, that you need fear because activity will happen because the thing that's there draws on your fear to then do something. So it takes the energy of you being scared
Right.
to do said something, not to be mixed up with if you're scared, your mind then races and you imagine things. I'm talking like we're now, let's say we're in a place. Do so. Are you here? And we're both really scared. He believes
Right.
that that fear will then cause, I don't know, my telly to explode and the Freddy Krueger mask to shoot up into the air.
All right.
Like
So he's saying that the entities are drawing on your adrenaline
and yeah, the
caused
fear and the
from fear. Wayne wants to know, are you related to Stephen Merchant? He says the
no.
likeness is so uncanny.
I am not, and I know who he means.
And let's see. Andrew said also here, If a place is haunted, then it is haunted during the day. You
Mm.
just have way more variables to try and account for, which I totally agree. If it's haunted no matter what time of day it is.
Well, this
But
is the
yes,
other thing. The idea of the witching hour. I always thought, well, that's just like a crazy thing to say because my 3 a.m. is like we know now. It's now 10:30 for me. So
at
if I'm
5:30
there
here.
going, it's now the witching hour, not in Australia. You know
Right,
what I
it's the
mean? So
next day.
it never made sense for me.
Yeah,
The being the to be honest with you, for a practical point of view, yeah, going in evenings, you're less likely to have people there. I got a park around the corner from me. If I go down there and do it in the day, you're gonna have bloody people doing their kids run, people walking their dogs, people going from bikes. Just so when it's
right.
nighttime, there's less people there. I did one in a cave in the day because it made no difference to me because the cave's empty regardless.
Right, right. So it's referring back to what we were talking about, things flying across the room. I would put the item back from where it came from to see if it does it again. I think if it happens more than a couple of times and you can't figure it out what's causing it, then maybe weird. Right. You just have to put it on the unknown shelf because unless you
The
can.
ladder in the place that I call Poltergeist House moved twice in the video. So it's up against the attic like this, and it comes upright like this, sat there for about 3 seconds, and then slammed straight back down again. And that happened twice. And I've got on one of the times it happens, I've got the angle from where you can see it because I'm in the attic when it does it, and then Chris is in the room below, and you can see over his shoulder as it goes up like this and comes down
Wow.
again. And I haven't a clue.
Do you have that on video so that people could see that?
Yeah, yeah, it's on video.
Because I'm
It's
sure everybody would love to see that.
it's something that I can't comprehend, but the people will still. And I'm not saying your viewers, but there's people out there like who are debunkers that will still put it down. They will still be like, well, there's got to be a contraption where someone's out of frame pulling it up. I can tell
Right.
you it's not the case. I don't know how it's done it. I'm not claiming it to be a ghost. I just don't know. It's
Right.
just,
Well, that's why
I,
I questioned you
yeah,
about, different angles in the room when you're in an individual. I
yeah,
know it would cost a fortune to have thousands of cameras everywhere,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but just to have that security where you've got your handheld camera and your partner's got his camera and he's in a different section. You might have something set up in
So
another corner. But
this
like you
was
said, like
back
the 360 idea would be great because then you're
this was
getting
back in the
everything
day
on
when I
there.
think I only had two, no, three. So I had two cameras, free if it included the phone and the. So I had two of them in because the attic was the place of activity. So I'm holding one, and the other one's at the opposite end of the attic, pointing directly at me. Chris is in the room below, and he's just got his phone out, and he's recording like so his face to talk, and then over his shoulder you can see the ladder, but what you can't see is down the towards like if you were to go down the stairs on the landing. So
Okay.
people argue, wow, who's there's no one there,
Right.
but it's like,
So
that's
yeah,
just
well, I think we all have to put up with that, especially when you put it out there on YouTube. It's going to be the naysayers or people questioning every single frame that you've got going on, and
and
so
it's
be
been
it because
done.
that's
It's been done.
yeah,
Beardo's done it. He you know, I sort of had my run-ins with him. We were getting on all right, to be fair, at the beginning, and we were sort of like chatting and getting on fine and stuff. And then I made a video which was like a bit of a joke video, but at the time there was a lot of heat on debunkers and there was a lot of like annoyance that was going on. So I tried making like a sort of a light-hearted comedy video, and it was basically Josh going hate, 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 double hate,
okay,
and then I put that online. His
okay,
his wife didn't take kindly to it. He got angry with it, and then we sort of fell out. And then it wasn't too long after that that he decided to go through a top 10 that I had on my channel and then basically say what he thinks every single one of the things is. And he was like, right, you're faking this, you're faking that, you're faking this. I'm like, whoa, I'm not. Like, chill out, because that's not the case. And I even
Okay.
offered to give out, because I've got the original footage. I even offered
Right.
to give out the original footage and everything, but he just didn't want it. And everybody on his list, they all started condemning me and saying, and it's a really horrible thing to be called a liar when you know you're not lying. When
Right.
you when you've got conviction of like integrity, because I've got a lot of integrity about what I believe that I'm doing, and I believe that I've been trying to do it the right way,
Right.
and that to then be labeled in such a way like really hurt.
Now, my question, seeing that you've said this, have you discussed with Beardo or whoever else has said these things? Let's get together and you show me what you think that I have faked or set up, and then
He,
you could
he
discuss those pieces.
he really doesn't want to have any conversation with me at all. We're talking a level of dislike to the point that I know that I've been mentioned in his private channels. Um, People have gone, check out blah blah blah, or what do you think about this? And he's literally said to them, I don't want to hear their name. Don't say their name. Don't
Oh,
talk about them. He was on with Purple once, and I went, do you have problems with me being Purple? Do you hate me? And he was like, yeah, I hate you because you're fake as. And then he swore, and I'm like, there's no
oh,
need for that, mate, because I'm not, and I can show you I'm not. But yeah, there's nothing I
hey,
can do about it. I wish I
yeah, that,
could. And if he watches this and he watches you, then I'm happy to talk, because at the end of the day, life's too short, and I can't be doing it back
right,
and forth.
right.
Like
Well, if he
I'm
does
I'm
see
an
it,
honest person, I really am. And to be called a liar, like really, I think that hurt me, that then made me angry. And then I probably said a few things that then made it even worse.
right. People say things that they shouldn't when they're angry.
Yeah, to anybody.
We
Like if
understand
I
that.
get your back up, I'm pretty sure you'd be like, "Oi, you," blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's just we're all human at the end of the
Oh
day.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. If that's somebody's, flip my switch, then I let it roll. But I try not to do that. But yeah, and Beardo is a great guy. So maybe eventually, you guys will be able to smooth it over and move on
I
from
wish I
that.
could. Yeah, I
Um,
wish. I mean, never say never.
right,
I'm happy to get into conversation. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, dislike and hate doesn't get you anywhere.
all right. Hi, Face. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Richard said he's just butthurt from the video that you did.
Oh yeah, so you, I did a video. Right, he did a video on me, and then I did a video back, basically going, "This is why you're wrong." Um, so I backed myself up,
Right,
and I apologized in that video for basically the way in which the manner I went about things in his private channel, and I did things that I'm not proud of, like I basically, people were saying stuff about my video and about me in his private channel. Someone sent me the screenshots, and then I put those screenshots publicly online. So it had people's actual names. And I didn't think about that at the time. I just
right,
acted and just went, right, I'm going to address this without thinking, hang on a minute, this is private messages. So I
right.
that's caused a lot of heat for him and a lot of his followers as well,
So, well,
which I can understand. I get it.
yeah. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully you guys could smooth it over eventually. Beardo's tough, so it's
Yeah.
and he does an important service to, I think, the community. All the debunkers do, the real, honest to true debunkers, not people out to just get a name for themselves, because there's a lot of fake people out there, and a lot of us don't know how to catch these people.
Hmm.
These guys do. They have the eye. So, but and if they're true and honest and upstanding debunkers, then if they're wrong, they're going to call out that they're wrong and apologize. But if they catch it right out there, then people have to, answer to that. So I do agree with it. But
I could,
if you're willing
that
to
was the original
show,
perception from me. Like that's why I started joining. I'm friendly with um that's Mr. Gray. I was gonna call him Dan. Dan, he doesn't mind his real name being said because he
right,
tells people. And I'm friends with friendly with Purple as well. And I used to always join Beardo's stuff, and we used to always chat and joke about things and talk about people faking stuff, and for the likes of like Really Haunted and Smug Puppy and all them absolute fakers out there. And I'm
yikes,
convicted and
yeah, but
100% that what they're doing is they should be done. What I don't agree with is a personal thing that's happened, and it's almost like he knew the one thing that would get to me is by calling me something that I'm not, and
right,
he's used his platform to do that, to get back at me because of a personal thing between us.
right.
That's where it's and
That
it's like, if
really,
he's done that with me, then who else?
yeah, I
Like,
don't know
how true is this person? If he's done that to me and I'm not, I'm genuine, then who else? Then you start to question, well, what's real,
what's going
and
on,
what's,
right?
yeah, what to actually believe.
So, Faith says the fact that you are able to self reflect and admit your wrongdoing says a lot. There are others who get past that and don't personally feel they should never admit to any wrongdoings, but are accepted. Yes, if you're, you put the bottom line is if you screwed up, you screwed up. Um, but if
Yeah,
you didn't screw up or you did, I mean, I could see where you're saying he did the debunking, um, and you're telling him no, this not true. I didn't fake this data, this evidence that I collected,
yeah,
and you guys just couldn't meet face to face or one on one on camera to discuss it in a calm manner. It sounds like it just got away from you guys.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And then
you
everything
got
fell on
upset, and he
after,
got
and
upset,
then
and
all my subscribers then started going at him, and then all his
right. It just
people from his
snowballed,
thingy started coming at me, and then it was like, and then because I suffer with, like, you probably see, I'm really fidgety, so I
right?
I have like, and this is no excuse for anything, by the way. This is just me as a person. So I have like ADHD and anxiety, and um, at the time there were people that personally emailed him and basically put in like a cease and desist for
Oh,
saying anything, and I don't know if that's why, if people bring me up, he just avoids the topic altogether because there's
I
mental
see.
health involved now.
Okay, so I see. So yeah, it's just like you said, everything just snowballed into something it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you guys maybe one day could clear it up, and and mend ways that would be nice. Julie says she goes, I sub to Mark. I'll watch and make up my own mind. There you go.
So I won't lie to you, Julia. There's some stuff on there that's absolutely mind-blowingly mental. I appreciate you following. In fact, you know what? If there's anything that you think, like if you think it could be something or have an answer for something, or if you're questioning a particular thing in a particular place, reach out to me, because there's a good chance I've still got the original footage. I don't keep everything because obviously I'd be filling up the
Storage would be
space. Yeah.
insane.
But
Right, right.
I've been trying to keep hold of absolutely mental things that happen. So when people ask, I can go, well, here's the original. Um, so I'm always open to
You're
ideas.
always willing to back up
I'm always,
whatever you've
yeah,
got.
I'm open to logic, 100%. I think like the biggest misconception with people like Beardo, from his point of view, was he seemed to think that I was pestering him to have an opinion on me, when in actual fact I'm looking for answers. And when you're in a platform as a debunker or a skeptic or someone like Mr. Gray or something like that, I'm basically reaching out in effect to say, hey, this has happened. I don't understand it. Can you put some insight on this? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't claim to know everything. I'm not like the guru of the paranormal or the guru of science. I'm just a
Right.
person, like, with
Asking for other
base.
opinions.
Yeah, that's it. But the opinion, it's not real, doesn't help me. it's like that doesn't help.
Right,
Just my
right.
head in.
Cynthia says, I've got to go. Oh, I'm glad that you joined us, Cynthia. She goes, I'm a Beardo fan, and I say you were right. If he is totally leaving it alone, it is probably due to the mental health, and he has left off with a few people due to that. Yes, we love Beardo too. And like I said, I think it's snowballed into something that probably it shouldn't have. And
Is he likely to see this?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I kind
I
of
don't
hope he did.
he's
I kind
awful
of,
busy. I don't know if he will, but if he does, just let you know, Beardo, we love you. But and we understand things can go wrong and not the way you want them to. And then it doesn't help when you've got your fans and his fans, and then people start jumping in and just making it worse.
yeah, and
Um,
then it just gets out of hand, and then I become
right. And that's why I don't go for people putting personal problems like that on online and on social media, because that's not the place for it.
hmm
So it's yeah, if it's something you have to deal with in the background, just between you guys. Julie says, I love Beardo. I just know I can give someone a chance unless they have a mean, cruel, horrible comment and reactions. Yeah, everybody has, the right to have a chance. Hey, Miss Carla. Hello, Miss Carla. So yeah, it's like I said, hopefully the two of you could eventually mend ways. Like I
Yeah.
know Beardo's tough. He's tough, but I have never seen him be unfair to a degree. I've seen him admit if he's screwed up. And I have also I've seen him where he says, "I just don't know." So I mean, he's being honest as far as that goes.
For his point of view, when he did the video on me, there he doesn't categorically say in that moment. He didn't categorically say 100%. I believe this. He just goes, "Here's the evidence that I think. This is
Right,
a hypothesis," but
right.
deep down, he wanted to say this isn't real.
And again, his opinion.
Yeah,
Let's see.
but
Wayne says, I'm sure Beardo will come around eventually. It's probably been a while since it happened, so he may have changed his mind since then.
well,
Well, if he sees this,
invariably,
Beardo, just get together with Mark, discuss, and it's up to you if you want to
it's just
discuss
me
it.
now, mate.
Let it
Dale,
go.
it's just me now. Just me and Josh. None of the others. No fighting. White flag.
White flag. So there you go.
Parlay, parlay. I
Hey,
call
there you go.
parlay.
You could start anew. That would be great. Excuse me. So, have you ever been to an investigation or on an investigation that troubled you so much that you would never return?
So, Woodchester Mansion, where I recently went. Um, okay, I went with several other teams there, and we all collaborated, and we went down to this cellar, which was said to be, home to several demons. And I got these people on here now going, "Oh, here we go, demons." I can hear you all already. I can hear you all. But I took it with a pinch of salt. I've been there before, caught this strange noise going "Roar" down there before. I was like, right, this is the hot spot down here then. Let's crack on. Let's do this thing. I start calling out, and I thought to myself, well, if it's a demon, uh, I'm going to go on the assumption of Christianity demon. So I started using religious provocation. And then several people started feeling ill and leaving and sort of going there, sort of out of the area. Then suddenly I then started feeling like irritable, like just almost like annoyed. And then I started getting dizzy. Then I got nauseous. And then I was like, well, I couldn't really breathe properly. Yeah. So I checked my heart rate. My heart rate was going boom, 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 boom. And then I went, I'm getting myself out of this environment. I'm having some sort of mass hysterical state and gone and having a panic attack due to everything that's going on in the environment. Or B, it's actually a demon affecting me. Either way, I'm out of there. Took myself away, calmed down, went back down there with the same people, shouted out again and went, right, I'm going to leave the area. I'm not staying down there because I didn't want to, just in case it was me that was causing a demon to do something. I didn't want to stay in the environment. So I shouted out, went upstairs, left everyone else down there. One of the other teams, he goes, "Ah!" I was like, what's going on? He comes back up, 4 scratches down the side of his face. In their video, you can see that he stood there 1 minute, and then the next minute he goes, "Ah!" And then he's just got these 4, like a cat. It's gone, "Wow." I don't know why I
Right.
did the noise. I don't know why I did the noise.
It's
But yeah.
we like sound effects.
Yeah. So he's got these scratches. So to the question of would I go back to somewhere, that's one place where I question if I would ever go back there. Because if that's real, let's say hypothetically there is demons down there and they can scratch people, you then have to ask yourself, do I really want to mess with that anymore?
Nice.
Like, even as an open skeptic, you know, I wouldn't, even as a complete skeptic, like, would you mess with something that could potentially harm your life, even if you're convicted of it not being real? Would you still take that risk? And for me,
Yeah, right.
my paranoia would get the better of me. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Now, my question is for that is the person that was with you that was scratched, what was he experiencing when it before it led up to the scratching on his face? Was he having like the same symptoms that you were? Because I was going to ask you, do you
Yeah,
think it
no, the
could have
thing
been
is, he was
like
like
effects from
their
mold or
side of
stuff
the
like that?
team. They were like sort of just pushing Bristol Paranormal Hunters. It's the team that did this, and like that when I was watching the video, there's members of their team which are saying that they're feeling angry and feeling, and I didn't know this, but Dan that used to be in my team, he left before I left, and he's upstairs crying his eyes out, and he's saying to Chris on camera, it didn't go in the episode, but he's saying how he had this like loads of rage come into him. I walk out because I'm feeling irritable, and then in their team, Paul, the other guy, not Ranger Paul, but a different Paul, he's down
Mhm.
there saying, is he left because he's feeling funny? Is he feeling? And it turns out we all have the same feeling of rage, but we haven't
Okay.
spoke about it to each other.
Okay.
It's only after the effect that we realized that we all felt the same.
Oh, all
That I
right.
found kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah, I would have documented that. Yeah, it's yeah, everybody's experience. Thanks, Julie, for stopping in, hon. Yes, because that's what I do. Well, of course, I haven't been on investigation a long time because of disability reasons. But when I
Mm,
was taking part in investigations, I always had pen and paper with me. So even though you're documenting stuff on camera, I always would write down certain things like that on how you were feeling, how it was in that area, the
yeah.
atmosphere effects, like I said, like mold or stuff like that, that could cause a person to feel those things. But then when you said that the person was scratched, that's just a whole nother ball game.
I wasn't down there with them when it happened, so obviously I can't account for their account and their personal thing that happened to them. But when they came up, they had 4 like razor blade scratches, like fine bleeding down the side of their face here
Right.
as they came back up. And I was like, the hell? Like, that's not normal.
Oh, well, yeah. Of course, my first thing was, what did you do to yourself? That's what I would have said.
I stayed at the top of the stairs and then someone else joined, and then I went down there with them and I started shouting out and calling out and going, right, did you just scratch someone? I went into fight mode, weirdly.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm like,
Again,
well,
it's like that's
what
just
the hell's
another
down here?
adrenaline
I mean,
feel
the
going on.
story of this place, like the owner afterwards, well, he's not the owner, he's like the caretaker kind of guy, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what you would call him. He runs the events there.
Mhm.
His name's Chris Howley. Some of you might know of Chris Howley. He said that he had a story of someone else that was there, and they had scratches come on their the same way. They got scratched, and they then made them wear mittens on their hands, and apparently they were all holding hands in a circle, and he physically seen scratches appear on the where have I
Oops,
gone? I've
I don't
disappeared.
know.
Let's put
It's
that
the
one on
gremlins.
instead. There we
There
go.
you
Let's change
go.
it to that one. I've changed angle just in case that happened. I was prepared.
There you go.
So yeah, he then had these scratches appear. Apparently, I wasn't there on this occasion. It was Chris Howley telling the story, and that's just like, well, that's just another account of it happening. Because I know there's going to be people out there saying, well, these people are clearly doing it to themselves. Obviously, that's the first answer for
Right.
it. But
Oh, yeah.
like, who's put? If you think about it, like from that point of view, who is taking a razor blade out in the dark when you can't see anything, and then putting scratches on your face close to your eye? Like, if that's genuinely someone doing that, you have to be some next level crazy. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't put it past anybody, to be honest with you. Some of these people will go to extreme just to get, the shot.
That's just mental.
It is, but they will do it.
I,
As far
I
as
call
an
myself Mad Mark, but I wouldn't do
yeah,
that.
not crazy, right?
No.
As far as what you bring on to an investigation site, what kind of equipment do you bring, and
Okay, again, this
what are
is
your
an
opinions of
interesting.
the equipment?
So first and foremost, stuff that I do is wanted the truth and done with other people in the team throughout time is we rely more on actual things going on rather than gizmos and gadgets. I personally dislike most of the apps out there. Um, I know that things like GhostTube, and the ones that that they talk and they go things. You just be like, "Hi, are you here?" And it just be like, "Go away,
Right,
ectoplasm." It just say things randomly.
right, random word banks. Yep,
Yeah, they're reading from a dictionary, and the phones actually listen to what you say.
right.
So now you've disappeared.
I'm still here.
Okay, and yeah, so they listen to what you say. So I don't agree with those at all. What I do, the things I take is, well, an EMF is something that I did take to a lot of places because the running theory was that the spirit entity, whatever you want to call it, is either emitting electromagnetic field or it's drawing electromagnetic field. So let's say I'm the being, and
Right,
I'm drawing the energy, the electromagnetism or electric from you as a human, because we all contain within the neurons and the firing of us, we contain electricity in within us, not in the same way as that's complicated, but I'm not going to go into it. Cameras have batteries in them, etc. So the running theory was it's drawing the energy and the EMF picks it up. I never believed that you could speak to these boxes. So not once I come into this ideology. When I first started, you only got what is online. So people go to red if you're here. Well, there's living people that don't understand what an EMF is. So asking someone that's died from the 18th century to make a device go to red never seemed to make sense to me.
right.
I've recently built this.
Especially because an EMF wasn't designed for what they're using it for.
This is a Faraday cage.
There you go. Yeah.
So I bet it's still in there as well. Oh, I've taken it out. I put my EMF. Oh no, there it is. I put it inside this box so no exterior signal can get into the box, and then ask the questions. Are you
Right.
here? If you're here, go into my magic box and use your energy, and then if that then goes off, which it has done once, in the farm, it flicked 2 greens up. Then that's interesting. Then that's because that can only be something that's inside of the box. Cameras don't make them go off, by the way. That's a misconception. The other thing I take is a bell, like a normal. I wish you had said beforehand because I could have got prepared. Probably
Well, you
here.
never know what I'm going to ask you.
This.
Right. And it's a regular bell.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Okay.
There's no it just So this has gone off 3 times in my entire. Well, the second time was slightly different. It actually came off the wall, so I put it on a wall,
Right.
and annoyingly, none of us are facing that way. I got the camera. I only had one camera or two. One camera. The other camera was off because we turned the lights off, and I was like, "Go on, do something then." And then this came shooting off the wall and hit Chris in the backside. The other time it did it was in the Poltergeist house on a toilet. We are all up by the attic, about the same distance I am from my door, and then in the toilet, restroom for the Americans, it went off and it went bing. And the other time was in a place called the Ancient Ram Inn, and I put it on a window ledge, and it just went off by itself in there as well.
Right.
And I also use this, which is, for those of you who don't know what this is, it makes me so it's like a heat detector.
Right. You're testing the temperature in the surrounding area.
See that I'm now glowing.
Yep.
This, I mean, people will say it could pick up spirit. It's really good for animals that are in the wild, that are close
Well,
to you.
sure.
Because you go, what's that? Oh, it's
yeah.
a deer. It glows. It just shows up. So that's brilliant for that.
It's a
Using
squirrel. Let's see. Michael
Not
has a
funny.
question. He says, "What is the spookiest thing you've witnessed during an investigation?"
The thing that scared me the most was probably the running that came towards me in Snuff Mills. I don't know if that episode, the original episode's still up or not. I don't know, because I just cringe at watching myself from early days. But the idea was that this place had something there. And throughout this entire episode, I'm poo-pooing everything. I'm like, yeah, that's a frog. That's this, that's that. I'm at one end of the bridge. Billy and Josh is in the middle, and Chris is at the opposite end. And I've got the camera turned to my face. And I'm like, yeah, it's creepier, but it's bound to be creepy. We're in the middle of the woods. It's nighttime. It's dark. We can't see anything, but nothing's really happening. Then Chris goes, Mark, I can't stand down there. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. I was like, what is it? He's like, I can hear something moving. I'm like, apparently Chris can hear something moving. I get to the end of this bridge, and it's a gravel path. And then all of a sudden, I hear running towards his path, coming towards me. I can see about this far in front of my face. So my initial thought was, what nutter is out here at 2 a.m. running to whack down this path at me? And I'm like, run away, leave all my camera gear there. I have a panic attack. I can't breathe. I'm on the floor. I'm like, I then realised that my £2,000 camera's on a tripod down there. So we all go back. Not a thing's been moved. Nothing. I then tell Josh to stand at the end. He then hears it. I then tell Billy to stand at the end. He then hears it. Didn't only had one camera then. So stupidly, I kept hold of the camera. Went back there on another occasion and caught it again. And then went back there with 2 clairvoyant mediums, which, believe what you want with people like that, but they're friends of mine and they're good people. And it happened again then as well. And I think that's what scared me the most in an investigation. But the spookiest thing, I mean, when something whistled in my ear, that was quite creepy as well. I think any time where I've had to, where I tell you what it is, it's when you feel it inside. When 1 minute, like when right now we're chilled, aren't we? Yeah. I mean, I suffer with anxiety, and I know what an anxiety attack is. But if suddenly now, out of nowhere, you got all the symptoms of an anxiety attack, that when it does that, when you feel it inside, when it makes you feel sick. Is there people that are watching this that have been on investigations? There must be people on here that know what I'm talking about. Like I don't say that I'm like some sort of sensitive or a medium or a clairvoyant or anything like that. But there's locations you go to where something nasty is there or said to be there, and you just feel disgusting inside, like sick, like out of nowhere. It just happened out of nowhere.
Wayne says, well, surely ghosts won't have a heat source, would they?
Right. So this is a good point actually. That picks up cold spots and hot spots. So depending on if it's cold or if it's hot, it will change its like color. I can set it to what I call predator mode, like as in the movie. So everything looks like, you know, when Predator looks and is like does that thing when it's
Right.
like that, and then you can
Right.
see like all the you can set it to that as well. I'm yet to pick anything up on it. You know, like when people go, oh, it's the temperature's really dropped in this spot. I'm feeling really cold. It's good for that as well. You can just go whoop. What would be really
Right.
good is if I went whoop, and then there was like a big cold sort of entity stood there. It would be really good, but at the same
And
time,
you
I'd
pick
shit to
that up.
myself and leg
Well,
it.
yeah. Well, that's why you're there.
I know. Yeah.
I
So
still
yeah,
love
I joined one of your things a while back, and people you were talking to some people, and there was a conversation about like why go into a place, shout out, and call out, and
run
then run
away.
off when something happens. The problem is that you can convict your mind into this state of and yeah, if there's something that goes bang or bump or something like that, of course you're not going to run away unless you're a jumpy person. But you know, like the running on the bridge, for example, when that I heard something come galloping towards me down the bridge. It doesn't matter how much rationale that I had going into that place. I think you could be Mike Tyson and still leg it because once fight or flight kicks in, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. There's a lot of people that
It's
are affected that way.
zero. Like if something pings at my head now, like where was I the other day? Oh, the farm. I was in the farmhouse and something really big. So it was the wind. That's what caused it in the end. I found out what it was. It was the wind. But something massive, like makes a huge bang as I'm about to walk into this room. And my instant body reaction, my legs went before my brain, was to run back to the group that I was with and huddle with them all. Power in numbers. You know what I mean? And then I
Right.
went, I need to go check it. So then I took everybody to go check it. But the instant response was legs run. I
Nice.
can't I can't help it. My legs just go. "Whoom." I'm like,
They just
you know, like
go.
the in the cartoons when they go and
Yeah,
then
they
the
just take
smoke.
off, right? It's like,
That's
well, I
me.
do like it was
I
one
can't
of
help it. I'm
um
sat here like I'm an open skeptic and I will look into everything and figure it out. Bang! I'm off.
but some people just take off. Or like my
Yeah, I
sister, she
can't
does
help it.
investigations with me, and my sister will run towards whatever it is. That's just what she does. And
It's the
I don't
fight.
run. I just stand there to wait to see what it is. And when I see if it's something like an animal or a crazy man coming running towards me, then I'll bolt. But after,
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
one that stays still and waits to see what happens. And my sister's the one that'll run towards it. So it's because
It's
she wants to catch what it is. So,
I've
it's
seen
great.
too much now of weird things. Like I've been pelted with stones in places, like to the point that if you some people will watch episodes and they will laugh at me because I'm there in a hard helmet outside in the middle of the woods. And people are like, why is he wearing a hard helmet for? Well, I've been hit in the head with rocks like this. I've got some like this is like a smaller one, but this is one that pelted me in the head. And I had a helmet on. Where's the big one? Ah,
Oh, yeah. I'd wear a helmet for that. Yeah. Geez.
okay. So when you've got stuff like that coming down on you, you're like, well, that make you run. If you've seen that come down going towards you, I don't care who you are.
Well, you hit with that, you're not going very far. So
Yeah.
it's going to leave a mark, definitely.
Do you know I've like
Uh,
in this place where these rocks and stuff do happen? Is that one that did it or not?
Yes,
No,
Steve
that's the
says,
one.
yes, always investigate the noises. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason we're there, is to
I've even
just,
like with stones and stuff being chucked in that. I even rang the zoo And I said to them, like, is there birds of prey at night or bats that get territorial and they will launch stones at you? And they categorically said no. There are birds that will do this. Crows, ravens will, but you would normally hear them as well. They will like "Wah, wah, wah, wah." They'll like kick off. So if you're in a place with ravens and then stones are being chucked, then there's a good chance it's probably the raven that's done it.
Throwing it at you. Yeah, you never know. You never know what's creeping around out there.
And there's also the prospect of how do I know there's not other people in the woods? How do I know there's not weird
Exactly.
people hiding? So which is why I did a whole month's worth in Snuff Mills to the video I did, the big video, I think 5 times I think in total over the course of like several weeks, different days at different times. And on each one had the same stuff happen. And since then, because it's only around the corner from me, since then I've been there about 300 times, and sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't. But the consistent thing is stones, weird noises, running on the bridge.
Yep.
Weird. I don't know why or how.
All right, I have a question for you about your Faraday box there. How many times have you used that? And what kind of data have you collected while using that during an investigation?
Okay, so took it to Woodchester, took it to the path there, took it to Snuff Mills, and took it to the farm, which is yet to come out. So that's 4 times. 3 of those, nothing was happening inside of it at all. In the farm, it's gone to like the third, not quite amber, so just below amber, if that makes sense. The only thing that could potentially breach that copper wiring would be, I think is it high? It's either really, really high frequency or really, really low frequency. Basically, the sort of frequency that a microwave gives out, or is it an MRI scanner or a CT scanner? One of them, they give out that sort of same frequency, or an amplifier. They also give that out. It doesn't matter what Faraday box you've got, that will always breach it. But this farm had none of that.
Right.
There's RF signals and stuff shouldn't breach it. It really shouldn't. I did a little bit of research beforehand to try and make sure.
I was going to ask you, what kind of testing have you done before you took it out into the field?
So I've put it like the big one, which obviously I wanted to test, was does the mobile phone still set this thing off? Because you've always got your phone on you, and it's even though you've put it on flight mode, there's still this chance that it could be affecting it. So put the phone, put the EMF in the box. I mean, I could do a few now if you want.
Sure, if you want to give it a test run, go ahead.
Show you exactly what I did. Yeah,
that's what he's going to test out there. Steve, let's see what your opinion is. Steve says, I never use a phone simply because it's compromised, and you are so right.
100%. The flight mode, though, less so. I did a video on EMFs, and I literally put it on flight mode next to the phone and the EMF like that, and I was pressing the buttons on the phone, and the EMF just stayed static. Hopefully this will go mental inside of the box because of all my stuff that's going on in here, but come on, try and get my wireless, because I got a wireless box over there.
Okay, we see it's on. It's in your little Faraday cage there, box.
So my internet, where is it? Come on. I got Wi-Fi in here that's meant to be setting it off, but you can see it blinking a little bit, can't you?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so if I put this now on top, got to seal it all the way around. Oh, you got to be careful as well, because vibrations like this set it off.
Right.
But that now, oh, hang on, it fell. That set it off. I've also got an amp down there which will set it off to slight one. Stay still. This is really hard to do with that going and holding it up to stop it from falling. Yeah, it's gonna fall. I would show you, but I have got a video on this. So
Right.
it might be easier to show the video because every time I go to pick it up,
It's gonna fall over.
it starts to move, and then where it's moving, it makes it go off. Because annoyingly, you
All right, I see it
you tap these or you move them slightly, they go off.
going off.
So they're not very reliable anyway, in my opinion. I wish is it Steve? I wish I could show you it properly, but I'm not. I'm ill prepared, and every time I try to lift it to show you, it starts sliding, which then makes it go off. So it's like
I put him
defeats
on the spot,
object.
guys. So yeah, I put him on the spot. But yeah, so I mean, but basically, what kind of testing did you do with that before you brought it on any investigations with you?
I just put it in there, and then I put my mobile phone on, not on flight mode, and then I just started, taking calls and watching what happened in the box, and nothing happened in the box. And I was like, well, that's great. And then I put it next to my amp that's down there, and it made it go off a little bit. So I was like, okay, so an amplifier can set this off slightly. If you
Right.
take it out of the box and next to the amplifier, it goes all the way to red, and it sits at red, and it doesn't. It literally sits here at red, and it just goes like that. Blah, 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 blah. No need for the noise. Anyone watching, get used to my sound effects.
I said sound effects are welcome. That's okay.
So then that's like, so that box is still, I don't know what you would call it, obedience. I don't know. I'm probably not using the right terminology, but it brings it down from red all the way to green here.
The
This
baseline,
one,
right?
yeah, and that's an amp. Same with the microwave, goes all the way to this
Right.
one here, and then brings it all the way to this one here.
Yes. Steve asked, did he build his own cage? Yes, he did.
Yeah, it's a prototype. Um, there's probably better ones that you could do. I was thinking of something that would be a little bit more easy to carry, and possibly a way of having the lights on the outside, if that wouldn't breach the box. Could you do that? I need a proper electrician, really, to talk me through this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Friday's not on here today. I don't know what he's doing. He would have told
I
you.
mean, you don't necessarily need. So let's say you're in a property, in someone's house, or any property for that point, and there's a microwave in that property. Put the EMF in the microwave. Put a camera on it inside. The camera won't set it off. It genuinely doesn't set it off. And then just call out and stuff. And then if that goes off, the microwave's a Faraday cage. If you've got a microwave knocking about, you can just, but they're quite heavy, so I wouldn't recommend it. Imagine that.
Yeah, I don't see you carrying that into the field with you. Yeah.
But yeah, it does the same thing. I spoke to my friend briefly on it, but he said it's not completely his field. But he said that these aren't that great. We found out that they're not actually EMF meters either. They're only MF meters because the milligauss mg is magnetic,
Right.
so it doesn't read electromagnetic. It reads magnetic fields.
So, well, yeah. Well, basically, it was designed just to find, live wiring in the walls. So it's when you're using
Well,
it,
this doesn't even do that.
it's
Not K2. The K2 only picks up magnetic. My dad's got, because he did like electrics and stuff years back, and he's got one which picks up, like, you go up to the walls and you go like that, and it go beep 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 on the wall, like near plug
right.
sockets. This won't go off at all. This will only go off if it's magnetic. Here's a test. If anyone's got one of these, get a copper pipe and drop magnets through the copper pipe next to this. It starts going off.
Well, that's like I'm saying. I was wondering, everybody uses their own thing.
It's madness.
I just, when I use my EMF, I do a dry run just to check for live wiring or any kind of electric, transmissions that are coming through. And then the rest of the time it's in a bag because I don't do like a lot of investigators do, set it up and say, hey, can you make this go to whatever color? I just don't think that's going to give you true readings as far as
No,
an
no, no.
investigation.
You can't. And
Yeah.
even
A lot of people
wouldn't
depend on it.
the microwave. Wow, it was my friend that actually recommended the microwave, providing the microwave isn't plugged in. Obviously, if you plug it in, that's a problem. But the microwave itself has to be a Faraday cage to stop the entire room filling with microwaves and frying us all.
Oh, right. Well, Steve says I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. False positive issues with microwaves.
Yeah, I just nah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just made my own in the end. I just thought, well,
Right. Wayne says I used EMF at work. Yeah, during construction you're using those
I'm
types
assuming
of
it's a
things.
proper actual electromagnetic field detector. One thing that you could think about getting is a spectral analyzer. So what that does is if you get a spike of electromagnetism, it will actually show you the ratio that that's at. So you'll get a number. So as an example, 5 gigahertz is could be one. You know what I mean? Like so that there'd be things within the 5 gigahertz range. Now, so like you could then go, oh, we got a spike. It's at 5 gigahertz. What's that? Oh, mobile phones. You rule it out because you know that's analyzing. Whereas
Right.
if you get a result that comes up and it shows on the spectral analyzer a reading of something that shouldn't be there, because like you said, you've done all the checks and stuff, and then suddenly you've got a reading that shouldn't be there. Let's say it was a reading of something like an X-ray, you know what I mean, an X-ray machine.
Right.
Um, you would then consider that to be odd. But even then, it's not evidence of a ghost. It's just evidence of something generating that amount of electromagnetism.
Right. And, generating that field exactly.
And a thing to think about as well with this electromagnetism thing is like there is accounts of like extreme amounts of electromagnetism that can make an individual feel unwell, and it can produce like sort of hallucinogenic properties. But normally this is at like I think it's like I can't remember if it's MRI or CT, but it has to be at that sort of frequency. And if you were in a building with a spirit per se that was sending out signal at that frequency, I think the spirit would be the least of your problems.
Right. Yes, Steve, I agree that Wayne is using it for what it's actually made for.
Yeah.
That's always been, my kind of beef, these last few months is that everybody's using all of these gadgets, and they're great because it's all an experiment. So we should experiment with them, but and collect the data. But it would be nice if everybody would get together with their data and come up with something that actually is made for the paranormal field.
Yeah, I mean, most of them are money grabs. They're money grabbing. They're
Oh,
just trying to get cash grabs and
oh
stuff off
yeah. Well,
people,
a
and it's
dead
just
bell.
absolute nonsense. And this
I
whole SLS camera
that I don't
thing,
believe in at all. The
I've
SLS
got
was made for gaming, not for
yeah,
paranormal.
I got one down there. Oh, what have I done?
Uh-oh.
I've gone again. That was my second webcam. There we are.
Camera's
I'm back.
down. There it is. Okay.
So I've got my I bought the Xbox thingy. I had that ages back. So then I set it up on the laptop to test it, and I took it to a couple of locations, and then I did a test in one of my rooms where I filled the room with smoke to see if it would map out the smoke, and it doesn't recognize smoke. I found out that it sends out a bunch of infrared lasers, and then it's looking for a humanoid figure to get in the way of the lasers. And then when it finds one, it does it, which is why it maps out things like chairs and stuff. It's not that great. It's really, really old tech as well, very badly programmed. So the only way, and I found out that the only way that they would ever be able to pick out a spirit is if the spirit physically formed. It can't detect invisible entities. It's impossible. Like it's just mechanically and scientifically impossible for the SLS to pick out a spirit that's invisible. It can't be done. And people
Right.
still
Well, because
swear by them,
yeah,
despite the fact that you're giving them evidence to
proof.
say otherwise. It's like,
Right.
no. You're entitled to your belief, but here's the actual facts of this device. Like,
Exactly.
stop being so silly.
Well, it's hard when people think they're getting
Mm.
something because if they want it so bad, they're going to believe it. Because I've done a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
twisting with the SLS, and it's mapping out whatever you're pointing it to. It's going to map out what you believe is a human structure.
Yeah.
But and the easiest way to test it is say, okay, if you truly are a spirit, move to the left, move to the right, tell it to move.
Yeah, but
And
even
what it
even then,
does,
you could get a coincidence of it, couldn't you?
yeah, nah, it never does. I've never had it move.
We have one
I
of
mean,
them.
it does dances around and this and that. It's because it's keeping
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
yeah.
keep that map in place. But
It's
as far as it
so
following you,
badly
no.
done. It's
Yeah,
so badly put together. Um, whoever and do you know the people they walk around with it on their like with a pad and they walk into rooms? You're not even supposed to walk with them. You're meant to stay still. They're
right,
meant to be stationary. If you're going to use one, go into a big room, a hall, remove everything in there apart from that device and maybe you, and then stand in the room. And then if something then appears next to you, maybe that's weird. But even then, I'd still question it.
exactly.
I've
That's
got one
that's what
on
I'm
my
saying. Hopefully,
phone.
someday somebody will come up with some stuff that we actually can use and catch something. But until then, everything is just an experiment,
I'll
and
delete it.
it's going to be on the gee, I don't know list.
I've
Pretty
dabbled
much,
with spirit boxes. I personally don't like them like too much. They're decent, but they make a lot of noise. And when I'm trying to listen for things like voices, knocks, actual things, physical
right?
things, now all I can hear is so
Exactly.
for a segment, maybe I've done the Estes method once, and I have to admit it was unusual. Everybody was on um, noise cancelling headphones. I even put all the headphones on to check. And there's a bit where I'm stood up asking questions, and they're all on the headphones, and I'm the only one not. And then I go, "Hello, my name's Mark," and simultaneously 4 people go, "Hi," and I'm like, "What?" So they've heard the word "hi."
Right.
So they've got like these cables
Right.
hooked up to a dual box, which is hooked up to a spirit box. So then they've got like 4 headphones all linked, and they've all heard the word hi after I've said hi. And then I ask a couple of other questions, and I get question, answer, question, answer. They can't hear me. So that was weird.
Right.
That, yeah. I mean, a lot of people might say things like, "Oh, yeah, people can hear you," or it's you. Sometimes people you watch these things and it's like, "Oh, yeah, everybody's just it's like preset, like scripted, right? You're gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this. Like, make sure you say this." Nah, I ain't about that. It's like if it's happened, it's happened, and I don't know
Right.
why or how. It's just weird, weird.
Yeah,
I've not
I
done it
can't stand the
since.
noise, so I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, the
do
noise
it.
was too much. I
I
think
have
if you've
very
got one
sensitive ears. It
person
drives me insane.
what would be interesting is if you had one person on an Estes method in your team, anybody who's out there, and instead of them calling out and talking every so often, they just write down what they're hearing throughout. And then you can get to the end of your segment and then be like, okay, what did you write down? And they can't hear you. Does
Right.
that make sense? So
Yeah.
that
Well,
it
yeah.
doesn't disturb what you're trying to do with however you investigate. So you might be trying to be quiet, for example. Hello, is there someone here? Could you please do something? We're going to give you some time to be quiet. Could you do it now? This person's writing stuff down. You get to the end of your vigil or whatever it is you want to call it. You can
Right.
then read their results and see what they line up with. With that note as well, these people that say that um, they get words and stuff like that on these apps. There's people that are convicted with the apps, and each to their own, each to their own. If it's a spirit that's there, instead of just in case this is listening, because I don't trust this thing, instead of saying, "Hello, what's your name?" write down what's your name?
Right.
Spirit, if you're here, then, or what's my name? Even better, what's my name? If you go like that, what's my name on a bit of paper, and then that spirit box goes, Mark. I'm done.
Right. Well, hey,
You know
you
what I
never
mean?
know.
Yeah.
I do
But
know
not.
somebody that does something similar to that before they even start the program. And before they even get to the location, they will write down 3 words on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and they keep them in their pocket. And then when they do start up an app, he only accepts the 3 words that he has written down on the paper, to be as definite proof that maybe something is to that. As far as I know, it hasn't happened yet where the application has said the words that he has written
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's still an experiment. Wayne says, question, which other investigation teams does Mark like? Good question.
So I've worked with other than like people like Bristol Paranormal, who I've worked with, and I've also worked with Spiritual Awakening. It's Dean, but I can verify like they weren't doing any funny business. Outside of that, it's difficult. You know, there's so many that I've got links to. Like, I've watched like Paranormal Walks as well, and then Ranger Paul. I liked Ranger Paul for his lives, but his investigations were a little bit. Used to walk around with cat balls too much, and I just be like, Paul, put your cat balls away, throw them out the
Right.
window, do away with them. So I really liked Ranger Paul when he went live, and he was just like rant on about the Illuminati and then how the world's going to end and Jesus.
And well, he's always got a great story. That's Paul. A great story to go along with wherever he went. That's why I found him interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, Steve says, where did Ranger Paul disappear to?
So we were all part of a collective called Dreadmare Incorporated, and that was Ranger Paul, myself, Bristol Paranormal, Haunted Sessions, Paranormal Walks, Afraid of the Dark.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right, Steve, because Ranger
like when
Paul was supposed to be on your show and
we've had others join since, but
he
I think
didn't
that was
make it.
the original core lot. I'm probably
Right.
forgetting people, but I'm terrible. But that was the original core, and then there was like Lily, and yeah, and he couldn't come to Woodchester Mansion. He came down with COVID. Then he left the Dreadmare app because he felt that there was some like trouble brewing, and his health with the COVID and his other half and everything. He just wanted to step away for a bit. He then had disagreements with certain individuals in the group, which I'm not going to get into because I'm not about causing drama online. And he had his firm views, they had hit their firm views, and then in the end, they were sort of going backwards and forwards with each other. Like one was posting stuff on his page, and then Ranger Paul was posting stuff on his page, and it was all very aimed at each other. And then in the end, Paul just went, I've had enough of all this social media nonsense. I can't be dealing with this stress. I'm calling it a day. And he closed the lockdown.
There you go, Steve. Yeah, because Steve was supposed to have him on, and he said they had a last minute. Paul just backed out and took everything down.
I
How do you?
do want him to come back into the scene. And I want him to be less concerned about other people out there. But it's up to him at the end of the day. He'll probably see
Right.
this.
I
Hi,
think he's.
Paul.
I think he's affected by what everybody else thinks, and unfortunately, when you're on social media, you can't think of it that way. Not everybody's going to like you. There's always going to be some kind of trouble. He just needed to continue doing his thing. So
Mm,
maybe he'll bring it back.
yeah, I'd like him to, but we'll see. We'll see.
Social
It's
media
a
can be
shame. It's a shame.
pretty mean to a lot of people. So it's a shame. Uh, Dragon said, I'll try to make it big before you finish, Laura. I need to run to the store real fast. Okay, well, while you're there at the store, Dragon, can you pick me up a couple of things? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, geez. What are some of the places that you wish to investigate in the future? Seeing that the end of our year is coming up, what are the plans for
Um,
2025?
so it's a good question. I've recently got an app on my phone which tells me every single abandoned spot which has been marked, and some of them are actually marked as haunted. So I'm gonna run down that list and do that. Try and find some. I do want to go visit an underground old, what's it called? Um Cold War bunker. But the thing is, it's down a 60-meter down a ladder into like this underground system. So
Right.
I'll make sure that's safe, because if that ladder breaks, that's you're dead basically. Yeah, might want to book some other places out as well if I've got the money to do it. Money's the hard part. A lot of the places I'm having to go to are abandoned outside or grotty places because I'm just
Right.
not. I mean, albeit I'm monetized and I appreciate all the people that watch and subscribe and what have you, because that helps. When people watch it, the money comes in from YouTube then, and
Right. Right.
it all goes straight back into looking at locations.
Channel.
Now it's
Yeah.
just myself and Josh. It's not easy to do, especially here in the UK. The weather is just awful at the moment. I'm just like, I
Especially this
can't
time of
go out.
year.
I
Okay,
can't do
Steve, thanks
anything.
for popping in. Steve says he must run too. Have a good evening, all. I would love to chat with Mark at a greater length. Interesting. So
I'm up for
maybe at
that.
one point you could go on Steve's channel and you
Yeah,
guys could have a great chat. So don't forget to sub to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, guys. Steve is the bomb. So yeah, there you go. You get on there and chat with Steve.
yeah, I'm happy to. I'm happy to chat with anybody, even people that like might think that I everything I've said today is just a load of rubbish. I'd much rather somebody come to me and talk to me one on one so they can talk through stuff than just have an assumption in their mind based off of what someone else has said.
Right, right. Well, yeah, you should have the opportunity to defend your position. I
Yeah,
believe in that 100%. And because I've always said that to people, if you've got an issue with me, hit me up in a chat, on a phone call. We'll discuss it so I can defend my position and
yeah.
hopefully we can come to, a mutual, agreement. If not, it's knowing you and have a great life. I mean, it's just all you can do. You can't force people to like you or to believe in you.
No, I can be like Marmite as well. I do some people's heads in. I've even had like people don't like certain methods that I've done, like in the past. I took upon this method of taunting, going into places and full on. If someone said to me, "There's an evil spirit here," or "There used to be a guy that did awful things here," or "There's a demon here," I go into these places and I give it hell ever. I'm like, right, come on then, you bastard. Like, you know what I mean? I go full on swearing and taunting and saying, "You're not here, you can't do anything. Come on, give it your best." And over time, of me doing that, I've had interesting results, because I spent about 6 years before I started haunting the truth going with events where everyone would hold hands and it would all be like, "Spirit, come into our circle. Could you affect one of us? Could you perhaps make the cat ball go off with your hair? Could you give us a sign?" Um, a lot of it kind of felt a little bit like psychological manipulation as well, even
Mhm.
if they. So it's like, is anyone feeling weird? Is anyone getting odd here? Is anyone constantly affirming this ideology of "you're feeling weird here, you're feeling weird here,"
Right.
until someone goes, "Yeah, I'm feeling weird here." Um, Never had anything happen doing it the nice way, and this sort of like, you know, um, holding hands and creating an aura and having a seance. It never worked for me. Some people might be watching this and going, "But that worked for me." But for me, for 5 years, nothing. Didn't get an ounce of anything. and then did the taunting, and then had stuff happen. So from my point of view, I'm like, well, that worked, so let's do it more. But I don't do it everywhere. Like if you said to me now you've got a house and your grandmother died there and her name was Eileen, I wouldn't go in there like, come on, Eileen, you slag. You know what I mean? You just wouldn't do that
Right.
because there's a time and place for, like, you know what I
For
mean?
that kind of thing. You got
Yeah.
it right.
I'm sorry if anyone's grandmother's called Eileen here. It wasn't.
Right. You don't want to piss grandma off and then all you get slapped
Yeah.
upside the head. So yeah. So what do we have to look forward to from you coming up next? Oh, there's Friday. There's our electronics guy.
Oh, he's here. It's a bit late. We'll get to that. Hang on. Hold that thought. Coming up next is I'm working on this farmhouse thing, which I'm hoping to get out, even if I don't. I'm struggling at the moment because I've been watching it through and not a sudden things happened, and I'm like, how am I meant to put out a creepy? Because you know what I mean. You've still got to entertain people at the end of the day. It can't just
Right.
be me going, I'm in this room. There's nothing here. I'm in this room. There's nothing here. That's boring. So the entertainer in me wants to still make something creepy. So that I've got to figure out. That's coming probably next year. That'll be out.
Right.
There's a lot of work to do. Coming up this week, I went on a ghost tour around my hometown. I spoke of Blackbeard earlier on in this video. There's a pub that the guy talks about, which is where I got all the information from about that. And then there's this other building which was built on top of a burial ground where they buried people because of a plague. The bubonic plague. Yeah.
Wow.
So this very interesting video. It's nothing fancy or anything like that. I'm literally following this bloke around and he's talking, but it's very very informative and interesting stuff for people that like into that sort of thing. I am looking though to potentially hear people's stories if anyone's got stories. Like if they've witnessed anything or done anything, I'm happy to like do a similar thing to what we're doing now, but instead of it being live, I could just maybe interview them and then put something together. This is something that maybe I'm thinking of doing. It's just like that kind of stuff.
Right.
Apart from that, like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm taking some time away for over Christmas. I'll probably put a bunch of shorts up just to fill the gaps for YouTube's algorithm.
Yeah, yeah.
You mustn't stop on YouTube or your algorithm will be destroyed.
I know.
It's like, I want to go on holiday though.
Right. Well,
let me have a break.
Okay, seeing that Friday's in the house, what was the question you were asking about? If you had installed lights on your Faraday box?
Yes. So I've built a Faraday cage.
Okay, Friday, here we go. This is for you.
Out of copper, which I know is like one of the methods you do it. Double layer of copper, all the way around. And I was thinking, if I built something like this, but then let's say I built an EMF into the box. So, oh, by the way, yeah, there's an EMF in there. So the idea is that any exterior signal shouldn't get through the box. My question is, if I put the lights on outside the box, so let's say EMF in there, but then I rigged the LEDs to here because it's hard to see when it's in the box, would that gap, would that then breach? Would that be a breach point? Because now the lights are outside. Would that in effect cause the device itself to have an issue? Or is that something that I can do without causing a breach?
Right.
That makes sense.
Without compromising the box. What do you think, Friday? Friday is our guy for the electronics. Hey, see if it'd be easier for you to pop in Friday, let me know and I'll put the link in the chat.
Because if that's the case, if you can do that, you could in theory make a device where it's sealed, completely sealed. So in a metal, which also acts as a Faraday cage, and then on top of the device you could put the lights, and then you could just hold it, and then you could switch it on. You just press a switch.
Okay, he said, is that side transparent at all, like a microwave door?
So the sides which are see-through are transparent, but they also have the netting on. So yeah, like a microwave door, it's still got the woven. I don't know.
Copper netting, like,
Yeah,
or screen.
yeah, the copper screen, 2 layers of it, separated using packers, so the layers aren't touching. They're like separated by packers like that. I don't know if 2 layers was needed. I just thought, well, I'll double it up.
Right.
Yes.
He said
Well, not.
if the light source is on the outside, it will not induce EM to the inside.
So the wire, the thing that my thing was, is that the lights for the EMF would be the circuit board for the lights would be in the box, and then a wire would come through a small gap, tiny little gap, to then have the lights on the outside of the box. So the effect of what's going on the circuit board in the box can be seen on the lights outside of the box. And I was just worried
I
that
get,
that
yeah,
tiny gap would be a breach point.
right.
What's the chances of like particle? What do you call it? Photon? I don't know. I don't know the correct terminology for a small particle of EM.
Right. So yeah, well, that's why we're asking Friday. He knows.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. Yeah, I'm probably sounding like a
I'm
plumber.
having him on next week. So, and he's got an extensive background in electronics. So that's why we ask him the electronic answer or questions. Like I said, if it would be easier for you to come on Friday, I'll set this right there. There you go, Doll. I'll copy it and you could pop on if it would be easier to answer his questions that way. Instead of having to type it all in. Typing's a big pain in the cheeks, so it's. But I understand what you're saying. If it's going to be a breach in the design, if any electronics are in the inside that could conduct RF or EM to the inside, you only want to shine the light through the one side. Say answering any of your questions, or actually, what he's saying is if he has like your EMF detector inside the box.
Yeah. So that, well, in effect, that would be inside the box.
Right. And you want to have a line
and then
going from that.
These, I would pop those off, get rid of those lights, right? And then channel it to outside of the box. So then there would be a bunch of these lights on the outside of the box. And then a wire would go out, whatever makes those go off, the wire that's connected to it, you then send that wire to outside of the box. Because you could just get something about this size, tiny, about this big.
All right. So yeah, I think I understand what you're getting at. You want to just have it so that the indicators are on the outside of the box,
and the EMF is inside of the box. The actual the where's my screwdriver? I'm gonna take the thing apart. Has anyone seen the insides of these?
Yeah, there's not much to it.
No.
But I get what he's saying. So hopefully we're explaining it correctly to you Friday so that you can let him know if that would make a big difference.
So what if I run to use the
go ahead.
Restroom.
Ahead. Hey, nature calls. You got to do what you got to do. Now, I understand what he's getting at. He's getting at it that he's afraid that if he has a line running from the light source outside into the box itself, will it cause a breach in the outcome? Let's see. Yes, but if you have a wire coming out even to a light, it could act as an antenna of sorts. So okay. So it would compromise what he's trying to do. All righty. See, I knew you were the guy to ask. that was just wasn't sure if there was a way you could shield it or yeah. So okay. So you did great. You did great. But yeah, it's because that's what everybody's trying to do. They're doing the test with the Faraday cage or box or bag or whatever they're using. Um, and that he made his own, hoping to do these kind of tests, and but wanted to have the indicator lights on the outside. But if they would also act as an antenna, then it just defeats the purpose. Oh, okay. So that he could bring lights out and put a screen over them and ground it to the box. Brilliant. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, Mark, we have some answers for you. He says that yes, if you brought the wire through the box to connect to the lights, it would act as an antenna of sorts. He says, but you could do that, but you would have to screen over the lights and then ground it to the box.
Oh, so you'd have to put like another layer just over
the
those
lights.
lights,
Yeah.
Because I've got an
Right. So
area
if you
to like,
do like
I can
right,
ground this off anywhere. Basically, this bit here, you can click
right.
things to it. Because I realized that when you're walking around with it, it's technically not grounded properly. So then I bought a electrostatic band, and then I attached it to the box. So then I act as the grounding point.
Is
I
the
don't know.
ground. Okay. Just don't go out in like a storm or something. We don't want you to get lit up like a Christmas tree. Let's see. Like some copper screen or window screen, if you can find an old microwave door to use that.
I would, but that'd make it 10 times heavier and carrying it around the
Right.
woods.
So yeah, you
Why
wanted
not?
it lightweight to carry it around.
Even that's annoying. I want to reduce that down somehow. Like the idea is that if I can put it into a sealed unit, which is about no bigger than like I don't know, like
Right. Then the detector itself, just a little bit.
so it'd be like the detector itself, and then the box would be
Right.
around it, and then this bit here would be like a handle where you could hold it, and then there'd be a button here that you could turn it on and off with, and then on the top there'd be 4 lights, and then that would be sealed within the box, and then I would have to seal the lights and ground them to it. Is what he's saying? Because otherwise, it would
Yeah,
act
he
as
was saying, yeah, you would have to cover the put a screen over them, and then you would have to ground it to the box.
Talking of antennas, fun fact: if you use a theremin, which is basically what a REM pod is anyway, but you get a real one, a proper theremin, and
Right.
you get copper wire. Let's say this room was known for activity. You could put the device here, and let's say you wanted to cover a larger area, you can wrap this bit in copper wire, and then you stop me if I'm wrong, Friday. You can then take the wire and send it off to another area of the room, which increases the field of the theremin. So then if something passes through that field, it will make it go off.
Oh.
I've seen this on The House in Between. It was at was it Netflix? Where they were there for like 2 years, and then these investigators go in and they take something in. Oh, by the way, you wouldn't happen to know how to make a positive? It's either a positive iron maker or a negative iron maker. One of them you can just buy on Amazon because it apparently sorts out the ions in your room. It's the opposite to that one. I've been trying to find one because apparently if you fill the space with these ions, it can increase activity. And I want to test this theory. Well,
Uh-huh.
theory, hypothesis, I suppose.
Right. That's another good question. Wow. Should
Yeah.
probably save these questions for for him for next week.
So write them down.
Then he can
Henry.
write them down, and then he can answer them in person when he's on screen.
Well, depending
But
on
yeah,
what time you're on in the night.
well, it would probably be 7 o'clock my time, so it would be late your time.
I mean, as a paranormal investigator and a person that works in bars and does stuff, I'd probably still be up.
Right.
It would all depend on, am I out? I won't be filming. I'm not doing that. So it would be, am I working?
All right. I'm gonna have him on the 18th, and it'll be 7 o'clock my time. So it's midnight your time, if I'm correct. Yeah. So I know, because everybody was like freaking out. What's going on? Because I was on early. I says, well, every time I book somebody from the UK, I try to do it earlier so that you guys aren't up all night, yakking on the computer. I always bend it for the UK, teams to get it done earlier. Friday says a thermon produces its own EM bubble, and any conductive material like human skin full of water, it reflects the EM signal back to its own antenna. And uses a sound to show the detection of the EM.
Yeah.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Would you say that I've got a few. Would you say that they are decent for picking up something that can't be seen? What some people might refer to as a ghost. Like, let's say for argument's sake, there was something that's out of our spectrum that we can physically see, but it was there, but we couldn't see it. Can it pick that thing up?
Right. And according to your question there, you're talking about extending the antenna. You said it could create unreliable results.
Okay. I won't be doing that then.
Right.
I got one in here.
I agree with him. He says we have no idea what ghost energy is, so it's all a big...
No, well, yeah, no. Some people say that it's what do you call it? Psychokinetic energy, don't they? That's what they seem to think it is.
Right.
But that doesn't comply with modern science, so I'm like... And you would think that if psychokinetic energy was a thing, that scientists would be all over that like a hot rash. Because if you could figure out how to contain or create psychokinetic energy, you would solve the world issue of power. Like, it'd be amazing.
Well, you think, I guess because there's no profit in what we do, so
one of them,
that's how, they're not going to do anything that's gonna...
So that's what I got.
He said most of all the tools we use all pick up some form of EMF or RF.
That's why I built the Faraday cage though, because it blocks the RF signal. So right. Mobile phones and stuff won't set it off. So you could, in theory, let's say you're an investigator and you wanted to do a live, but you wanted to have an EMF. The live would normally interfere with EMF. Well, when you've got a Faraday box, it doesn't. So it solves that problem straight away.
Right. I would like to see more people using that and testing it out to see how it works. I've only seen a few investigators actually use it during a live or filmed investigation. Yeah, he said it should be an interesting experiment.
It is. It's a work in progress at the moment. The one place it did go off, which is not yet out on an episode, is the farm. And I initially thought it could have been because I had a two-way radio. I went in on my own, but I had somebody which was like parked quite far away from the place that I was in, just in case like a load of like people turned up and they wanted to like fight or something. So I had a two-way radio. So I thought the two-way radio could have been still setting it off inside of the box. And I went and got the two-way radio out of the cupboard and I put the EMF in the box. And if I go right next to it and I start pressing it like this, it flicks a little bit. But if I stand up and do this, it doesn't. So it couldn't have been that.
Right. Freddie says, as far as the other questions, hold on. I think we're bombarding him. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody's popping in. Hi. I'm glad you guys could join us. We're talking electronics, so it's
Yeah, we've gone off on a tangent.
no, because it's all part of the game. That's why I always try to every time I put out my issues of the magazine every month. I try to put in a piece of equipment and how it's supposed to work, what it was intended for, just to give people some kind of education on what they're using and whether they should use it or not. I mean, it's going to be up to them, but at least I'm putting that information out there.
A lot of the time,
He said a good ion generator is a Van der Graaf generator. It can generate ions of both positive and negative.
that's why I type it in. It's like a few grand.
Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. You might be able to get something.
Oh, I know them. Okay, for the people that don't know what they are, you see them sometimes on like school trips and stuff when you put your hand on it and all your hair goes.
Yeah.
That's what they are. Am I right in saying that? That's from the picture. That's what it looks like. Let's move this back to the other camera if it works. How do I do it? That one. There we go. Yeah. Oh, now you're over here. The reason I did this is because at the beginning you were asking about me as a person, and there was
Right.
stuff that I could have showed you, but I didn't show you. I'm also quite an avid horror fan.
Uh-huh.
So, behind the scenes of Haunted the Truth.
That's right. A little behind the scenes. There you go. Wow, look at that. I don't know if Carla's still in here, but she'd love that.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff there. This penguin here is the one that was from the house where it wobbled and fell over.
Right.
And the owners gave it to me to run tests on it, and it's never moved since I've got it. And I took it back to the house on another visit, and it fell over again in the same area. So that was
Interesting.
Unusual to say. Right, my nose in. Unusual to say the least.
So yeah, that would actually bring up a lot of questions. Why is it only falling over in that one specific spot?
Because the inside of it, so it's a Christmas toy, and it's weighted on the bottom, and it's battery operated, and it dances. It goes do 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 do.
Right.
Do. So the initial thought was, this is a mechanical failure, and it's caused it to fall over. And I've left it running on with the batteries getting low. I've tried everything you could possibly think of. Because it's kind of, do you know what a Weeble is?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Weeble in a way that it's weighted in such a way that where it dances, it tries to prevent itself from falling because it's got this weight on the bottom.
Right.
So like I had it in my car and I was driving around in my car and it stayed upright the whole way through in my car. And take it back to this house, go up into the attic. This time there was a drum, like a snare drum. I put it in the middle of the drum. Unfortunately, it was slightly off pan to where I was sat, but you can still see the edge of it falling, and it falls and it lands on the drum. And I was like, "What? How?" So yeah, it's never done it with me. Tried everything. Can't get it to do it apart from in
Right. So yeah, that's there you go. Another thing that you're just gonna have to try to figure out.
And got death whistles as well.
Those I can't stand.
Yeah.
Can't stand the noise. I find them annoying as all hell. But a lot of people use them. Oh,
yeah. Do you know what they're good for?
Driving people crazy.
Pretty much. Yeah. No. The best thing is if you're rolling up to a house and you're going in there because you want to go investigate, but then there's a bunch of like kids in there messing about, you go round behind the house and you go and you blow into this and they all scarper.
Yeah. It scares the
hell out of me. Or you could do the baby cry, which is like that. That scares people as well. I'm quite the character. You might have
That's
picked
one
that
way to
up.
clear it out, that's for sure. That's what I'm saying, that's why I always do, like, a dry run because you never know who's gonna be or what's gonna be inside.
Oh,
Uh,
this one place, there was a crazy lady living in a mortuary, rundown mortuary building in a cemetery. And she went ballistic at me.
ugh,
Absolutely mental. Crazy,
yeah,
proper
well,
crazy.
you were invading her space, and a lot of most of those people have mental issues, so that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
it's scary. You don't know what's wrong with them, so when you come up on them, either they're gonna be very kind or otherwise they're gonna just freak out
Well,
on
she
you.
started off really kind and nice, and then all of a sudden she just flipped. And I was like, whoa. Like, it was the most bizarre thing going.
Right. Oh, geez, yeah, you just don't, yeah, like I'm saying there, it could be just a prime example of some kind of mental illness.
Hmm.
Um, as far as now that it's just the two of you, it's Josh, right?
Yeah.
You and Josh. Of course, it was a shame that he couldn't join us, so we could get his perspective on stuff.
We'd never get a word in edgeway.
We never.
Honestly.
he, he likes to
He's
chatter, huh?
oh yeah, he'd be off on tangents and everything.
Uh,
He's a very interesting person. He used to be like skeptical of myself as well and take everything with a pinch of salt, but he's the biggest scared baby that you could honestly. You'd think that he's never done investigations ever in his life. Like, if you watch the videos where Josh is in them, I'm like, Josh, if you could just stay, no, just stay in this. I'm upstairs. Just stay downstairs. I need an ear downstairs. I'll be there. No, I'm not doing it, Mark. I'm not staying on my own. I'm not. I'm just like, Josh, but there's a bit in it. I walk down the stairs and I'm like, we're investigators. And he takes a piss. He goes, investigator, like that.
right, right.
And and then in the latest episode, he's like, I didn't even know he was doing it. I was downstairs, and I go, run towards Josh, and then he looks at the camera and he goes, no, don't run towards me. Lightly saunter towards me. In that moment, I run back up the stairs because I'm like, I can't walk upstairs. I'm one of these people that have to run upstairs.
I had to run up, right?
So then he shits himself and he's like, why did you do that? And I'm like, Josh, I'm just coming back upstairs. I had no idea you were on edge. Like, but
So
yeah,
yeah, that they would definitely make an investigation interesting. So
but
he's the first one that runs out the door, is what you're telling
oh
me.
yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. He's so funny though. Like, I don't know
He's like
why
he's like, get Mark, he's slower. He's
the thing is, he's never been the same because I went into this place, it's called the Poltergeist House, and we were doing a podcast there in the living room because it was raining, and the owner, which we were friendly with, was nice enough to let us come in to do the podcast. And when the podcast finished, we just like, because we've done investigations there in the past, we were like,
right.
we're not going to investigate, but we're just all going to be really, really quiet to see what happens if we're just here. Because they said about 12 to 1 o'clock, 12 till 2 o'clock in the morning, weird stuff happens regardless of what you're doing. And throughout the podcasts, we could hear boom, 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 like upstairs and stuff. The owners, they lived at the back of the house in an annex. So the upstairs, no one's up there. All right. And we had a big light that you would, like an industrial light, because
Right.
the family were like plumbers and stuff. So they gave us this big industrial light. The switch getting turned off on the light. We were just chatting away, and then all of a sudden it would turn off. With that, Josh goes out into the hallway. We're not filming at this point. We're just chilling, all right? Because I said to the owner, I won't film. We're just going to chill. We'll do the podcast, and that's it. So I had to stand by my word. Josh has stood out in the hallway, and all of a sudden, he comes running back into the living room. He is crying without tears. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, he's like, but no, there's nothing. And I'm like, he's trying to talk, and he's like, he couldn't say anything. I was like, what? Turns out that he has seen. So you've got, okay, how do I paint this out for you in a picture? So you've got the living room that I'm in here, and then you go out here, and then there's a hallway, and then there's stairs that go upstairs, and then the hallway leads up to the dining room, and there's a door there to get into the dining room, and then there's another door that gets into the kitchen, and then if you turn left, go down a little bit and turn right, it takes you into their bedroom. So in the dining room, there's a chair, a white chair in the dining room, and the door is shut. And Josh is there looking into the thingy. And the way he describes it is a black figure that he said was darker than the darkness of the room, because it was dark anyway. So he
Right.
said it was blacker than black, came out, and he thought at first it was him, like somehow reflecting through all the doors. So he starts going like this to try and find out if he's the one doing it. And then all of a sudden it shot all the way out. So the chair that was in the room was no longer visible. And then it shot back behind the wall. And then later we find that there's reports of that, like, he didn't know about the reports of the shadow figure and what it looks like that the owners had seen in the house, and they had written down what they'd seen, and it corresponded exactly with what Josh had just described as being in the house.
Right.
So he's seen a full what he's perceived as a full apparition of what people would call a shadow figure.
Shadow figure.
Yeah. I'm yet to see something like this, but because of that experience that he had, everywhere we go to now, it's embedded in his mind that, Josh, you stay in this room. He's like, nope, because something's going to come out of that doorway. It's like it's tainted his head.
Right.
Everywhere
Right.
we go, there's no, you can't undo what he's seen.
Right. Pretty much scared the
I
crap
suppose it'd
out
be like if you went to if you swam in the sea and got attacked by a shark, you would always be cautious of going in the sea.
Exactly. Now, my question is when you guys do investigations, do you do any pre-investigation research about the history of the place you are, or do you wait until after the fact and then look up history and?
It depends. It depends where it is, because sometimes I like the history
Welcome back,
of
Carla. You missed
of
it,
a
Carla. He
place.
showed us his horror collection. You missed it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The lost my train of thought. The activity that's said to be there, I try not to look too much into, but I'm not one of these people where you might say to me, "Oh yeah, like Billy Colony." Those of you might know who Billy Colony is. He's a Scottish comedian, and he did a joke which was, he was like, "Oh, I had a friend stay around my house the other day in my old castle, and I said to him in the morning, how was it?" And he was like, "Ah, sounds a pound, loved it, brilliant night." And he went, "Oh, that's weird, because normally people fill a presence up there, they get some sort of spook feeling. Well, that night they didn't sleep a wink." He was like, "Oh, how was last night? Oh, Billy, that thing came into my room. There was a grey lady walking across the wall," because it's like implanted
Right.
into him. So I get what you're saying, but because I'm aware of this ideology, I like to
Right.
think that I'm not victim to it. Like you could say, I always go into a place with a pinch of salt. Like, this confuses everybody as well, because they go, how can you go into every single place but still being skeptical when you've had XYZ happen? And I go, because every new place is a whole new sheet of paper.
Exactly.
And until I see the story of the thing being true, I don't believe it until it's happened.
Right.
Despite the fact I've seen
Right.
XYZ happen, I haven't seen it here. But
So,
I might not tell people I'm with what I know. So
right.
they
So,
experience. The rest of
well,
the team, no idea.
all right.
Me, I'm
Most
like,
people like myself, I rather not have the haunted history, but just the history itself of the building.
it's the bit which, yeah, the history of the building. I always like to know if it's a place which I can get history.
Right.
But when it comes to the activity, the things I would like to know that would save me time is if someone said, in, let's say it was a giant castle, and they were like, in the cellar, the second cellar in this castle is the place with the most activity. There's stories that there's a thing called Jeremy down there that will react if you do XYZ. Well, that's information I would like to know prior, so then I can go, right, apparently Jeremy down here does XYZ. Let's see if he will do it. In that case, that I do need the information, because otherwise I can't fully experiment with the information if I don't know it.
Okay. You don't feel that it contaminates your thoughts?
Not me, no. Not me personally. Because I go,
Usually when you
up
have
here,
something
I'm going,
like that,
Jeremy isn't here in my head. I'm like, Jeremy's not here. The story's a story. It's not true unless I see it. And that's what I go in with.
okay, well, that's a good
Woodchester
way to go.
Mansion, I didn't know the story. Nothing was really happening. And then I went and asked the guy the story because he didn't
Right.
want to tell us for that reason. But I was like, how can I, like, unless someone says to you, by the way, this room is the most haunted room in the house. Basically, I can't be bothered to go around the whole building trying to figure out which room is the most active if somebody
Right.
already knows that information. Maybe not the things that go on in that room, but I mean, it takes me long enough playing Phasmophobia to find the bloody room. If you've ever played that game, I'm there forever like that, going around the old building. I'm like, someone just tell me where it is.
Right.
Crack
Yeah, I
on.
don't play any of those games. I stink.
Yeah, it's fun
But
game.
they are interesting to watch. Do you ever plan on coming to the United States to investigate?
Yeah, I would like to. I've been to the United States. I visited, but I didn't investigate. But I came over when I was really little to Florida twice, and then I got really into the culture of the States, and then loads of culture through TV that I watched. But I wanted to properly experience things, so I went on a thing called Trek America, and I travelled for just over a month round pretty much most of the states around the edge. Didn't go through the middle. Apparently, I'm not missing much there. That's what someone said
A
to me.
lot of corn.
Yeah. So I went, I started in New York City, and then I went down, like through like DC and Birmingham, Alabama, blah blah blah, all the way round through like Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, etc. Down here, then round here to Monument Valley, Grand Canyon,
Right.
San Francisco, and California, then Chicago. Am I in the right place? I think I am.
You just went all the way around the outer border there.
Yeah. But the place which I would like to go back to and look more into was probably New Orleans.
Yeah, everybody does.
I still dream about that place to this
The
day.
history there is amazing. So yeah, that's a one spot that everybody wants to go back
Get me
to.
in
or
the
at
La
least visit.
Lorraine mansion.
So is
It's
that the
called.
one of the what is the your top 10 of coming here to investigate? What's like would be your number one?
Well, that mansion had a hell of a story to it. Is it the Lorraine? Someone tell me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. It's the Lorraine mansion.
Actually, I think I might have done a story on that.
New Orleans. The La Lorraine mansion. It was they touched on it in the TV series American Horror Story,
All right.
but they thought they've changed it up a little bit because she didn't die; she actually left. So she owned this sort of 3-story house back when slavery was a thing still, and she was like an absolute like awful person. She had slaves up on the top floor where she would do experiments on them. Like one of them, viewer discretion is advised. One of them had their intestines pulled out and then wrapped around them as an experiment to see if they could still digest with their intestines outside. Another one had all their bones broken and repositioned like a spider, so the person would walk around like a spider. And then one of the slaves in a kitchen had enough and they caused a house fire, and the whole house caught on fire, and the fire brigade came in to get all the slaves out. And when they went to the top floor, they just couldn't believe what they were seeing, and they unshackled one of them, and they were so scared of what was going on that they ran and jumped out the top story window and smashed the
Oh,
window.
right.
With that, later on, people bought the house and they went to renovate it, and they pulled the floorboards up, and underneath the floorboards, on the opposite side of the floorboards, were scratch marks. People had
Oh,
been buried alive under the floorboards. So I mean, this is the stories I was told by the person that was doing the walk round. So
right.
I don't know how many of them have been like, and this awful thing happened. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right, right.
But as far as I'm aware, it went through a few owners and people couldn't really stay in there. It recently went up for sale though. So I don't know who else
Very
has that
interesting.
house.
Yeah.
But I would like to do there. Things another place. Oh, see, I used to watch them all on a TV show called Scariest Places on Earth.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do
Remember
remember
that?
that show.
It
Yeah.
used to. It was hosted by Linda Blair and voiced by Zelda. I
Yeah.
can't remember her last name, but she's the lady from Poltergeist. She used to be like, "Chills run down your spine.
Right,
Breaking
right.
through a cold sweat. Your heart begins to pound. You are afraid." That was it. That's my people in it
There
are
you
like,
go.
this guy's lost the plot.
No, he's a big fan. Wayne
Winchester
likes
House for me.
Wayne would like to go to the Winchester House. A lot of people like to go there.
So I think yeah, I've heard of that one as well. Other than the States, I mean, I want to do Paris Catacombs, which is like just literally graves underneath the whole of Paris. There's another place called the Island of the Dolls, which back in the original days of Ghost Adventures before Zach Bagans sort of yeah went off the rails a little bit. They went there. That's a place as well. Then there's the Suicide Forest in Japan. That's somewhere which I was like looking into as well.
Yeah, that one kind of gives me the spooks. I don't think I would go to that one.
Yeah, it's quite a
Excuse
it's quite a hefty place. There's 100% bodies in there, and a lot of people apparently they go in there and they just get lost, and then they never come out. They
That's
don't
it.
intend
Yeah.
to kill themselves; they just get lost. But the locals say that it's the spirits, like they will confuse you and send you off into like avenues and stuff.
Right, right. So yeah, that's pretty
That's,
creepy.
I love asylums though. Good asylum. Yeah, I
Uh,
love them. That's like I think what got my love into the paranormal as a whole, I think might have cut when I was 8. I watched the original Poltergeist movie when I was
right.
8, and I loved it, and I still think it's the best ghost film ever made. But the asylum connection came because of the movie House on the Haunted Hill.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Actually, I did find out a little bit of trivia about the Poltergeist movie. The pool scene where the mother falls into the newly dug pool.
Yeah.
The skeletons that they used in that were real.
Yeah.
Because they were cheaper to purchase them than to get fake ones. And I'm thinking,
Yep.
oh man, that right there would have just creeped me out.
This is very true. I mean,
Real skeletons for that one shot. Oh, geez.
it's a lot connected to that movie, but they think the movie's cursed. That alongside Exorcist, they say that's cursed as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the set
exactly.
caught on fire during the making of that.
So it's really freaky things you find out after the fact. Does anybody have any more questions for Mark before we let him get going?
What is it? 12.
Just shoot them out. Any kind of question at all. I've had a
Yeah.
great time. I hope you have.
And anything's up. Anything can go. By the way, if it's even if it's something where you're questioning like my activity or anything like that, I'm happy to answer anything.
Right, so that's great. So it's
I'm transparent when
waiting
comes
to
to
see
that
if
sort of
anybody
stuff.
wants to shoot anything out at you before we let you take off. Got any more experiments? Friday wants to know. Are you
The
trying to?
ion thing is something I'd like to try. If I can get hold of that to do that, I would like to give that a go. Apart from that, I don't really know. I mean, the other thing was like if the spirit uses electromagnetism to do the thing that it needs to do, like throw item, for example, um, it might be interesting to just fill an area full of like take a Tesla coil somewhere, for example. I'm just thinking now. You're making my brain go.
You're getting them. He's starting to get a, yeah.
There's a place called Chillingham Castle, which is
Heard of that?
a good spot to go to. Then there's the place called the Screaming Woods, which is the other side of London. Edinburgh Vaults as well. I'm never going to get in that, but just chuck it out there. Why not? Just
Hey,
from
you
the
never
top
know.
of my head. Where's that other one? I can't remember. I've got them all written down because I've got bad memory. And a rectified Tesla coil. I'm going to end up giving me. Next time you'll see me, I'll have like my hair will be up like that, and I'll be like a
Right, it's
electrocuted myself trying to build these machines.
But at least we know you tried. That's
That, or I'll go into a location with all these things, and then I'll open up a portal, and I'll end up in the back rooms or something. No! Well, that'll be gone.
Mark disappeared. He got sucked into oblivion or whatever. But that's what it's all about. That's all the famous, inventors that something happened and that's what made them famous.
Yeah. Did you know that I mean, stop me if I'm wrong, anybody here, but the idea of there being more than 3 dimensions is now a scientific thing. I believe something to do with Einstein's mathematics and quantum physics shows that there's more than 3-dimensional spaces. And that means there could be something in a 4th dimension with us right now, and we wouldn't be able to see it.
Right.
We physically wouldn't be able to see it.
Well, that's what one of the theories is that when, talking about ghosts or spirits, that they exist in that 4th dimension.
Because I've been in, before we go, I've been, to go for the fact of this, for a bit of evidence towards this concept, I've been in locations where people have mentioned stories about where a chair has been in one room and then they all go to another area and then they hear a loud bang and then the chair is now behind a locked door in another room. Or when people talk about items going missing and then reappearing somewhere else behind in cupboards and in locked cabinets and stuff like that. The only way that that's possible is if it's crossing to a different dimensional plane. So an example of this is if you imagine this piece of paper is a 2-dimensional space and there is a creature on there, which there's the creature here on there. He can move in 2 dimensions, but he can't see over here, over here, over here, or over here, because this is his realm. But then if this is his item, imagine that's a flat item. I've now picked that up. To him, it's disappeared.
Right.
I can now place that anywhere within his 2-dimensional world. Now imagine that there's a 4-dimensional being. It could pick up things in this world and move them through physical objects, through solids. You would be able to see in the box,
right,
and through the box, and through a 4th-dimensional being would be able to see inside of us. It's a weird concept. But because items have gone missing and reappeared somewhere, surely that's evidence, if it's real, of 4th-dimensional shifts going on.
Friday says it has long been theorized there are more. The math for string theory has some 26 dimensions. He also recommends read the book Flatland by Abbott, so they could answer some questions for people.
Yes.
See, Friday, you just gave Mark some homework. So
Even though I'm dyslexic, I'll do my best. Sometimes someone goes, read this, and then I look at it and I go, no. I put it straight back down again.
Right, you
'Cause
gotta
it's
you gotta
just
put it in now so that it pops up so you know what the hell everybody's talking about.
well, I'll have a look at it as well. I mean, I've looked a lot into this idea of dimensions
So,
and
well,
then
yeah, a lot of people are kicking it around. I mean, it's
but have you seen is it Inception? The movie where he goes in the black hole?
no, I didn't.
Oh, right. Anyone who's watching this to understand sort of what I'm talking about, go watch. I think it's Inception.
Right.
It's
And
a
I
deep.
agree, Friday. Kenny says never stop learning. And that's exactly right. You should never stop learning.
Yeah,
What is
there's always
Wayne's?
something.
Wayne said someone did an experiment and something apparently vanished and reappeared.
Wait, what?
Wayne said somebody did an experiment and something apparently vanished and reappeared.
So no, wait, okay. I think you might be mixing up what we're saying. Something happened, which they said was a paranormal effect that happened where an item disappeared and then reappeared behind a closed door. What I'm saying is that is literally like a fourth dimensional being, in theory, could do that. Oh, it's Interstellar. Yeah, no, Inception. I knew it was an im something.
There you go. Yeah, it was an
I
in
couldn't.
something.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Thank you very much for
Oh,
that.
hi,
It's doing what
Sean.
I would have done. I would have remembered like about 4 in the morning. I would have gone, I got it wrong. I've told
You
people
would have
all the
shouted
wrong.
it out loud.
Yeah. What's the
I'll do that.
oh, there's another concept as
Sean, you're right.
well.
If we stop learning, we become stagnant. We do. So every day is a new day, a new learning experience. So
Mm.
yeah, it's you never stop learning.
I'm convicted 100% with what I've seen and witnessed that it's definitely something but beyond the scope of what we currently know scientifically. But the question is what? Because when you
There it
think
is.
about it, the universe is so vast and so confusing
Exactly.
that not like even people like Neil deGrasse Tyson or Brian Cox will turn around and say that we don't know everything and that we've only
Far
scratched the
from it.
surface. We've
Right.
scratched the surface on what the universe has got to offer.
Exactly.
It's just I don't even know. If I start going into that, we'll go down another rabbit hole and we'll be here
We're
for
gonna go
another
down.
4
Well,
hours. We start going into that a week, then you got the are we in a simulation? Are we, you know what I mean? It's like, we
do we
doing
know anything really?
we don't know anything really.
I think yeah, it's a typo. Yeah, but no, we don't. We're just we're still on kind of an infantile stage here, where it's just again scratching the surface. You
You
guys
know
keep
that
kicking the questions around. I'm going to excuse myself just for a second. I'll be right back.
if
So we're
there's
going to let Mark run the show.
yeah, if there is other people here that are believers in the spiritual realm and believe that it's ghosts, an interesting thing to point out is that they say that the spirit crosses over to another realm or another dimensional plane. When you die, you go to another space. Time only exists within our three-dimensional space. So anything beyond that, scientifically, means that there is no time, which means theoretically, if ghosts are real, anybody that dies in the future because time doesn't exist could technically also be in the present and be in the past all at the same time, simultaneously. So your future self could come back and haunt you. Have that. Let's have a cook. I've got the comments up as well, so I am reading at the same time. Space-time, they are the same fabric. They are indeed, unless you breach into the outside of that dimension. Glad you're enjoying it, Wayne. Someone else has gone, haven't they? Oh, he's off. Ta-ra. Ta-ra. It's very English of me, wasn't it? Ta-ra, would you like a cup of tea with some crumpets? Heard a theory that time... Yeah, so some people do say time is the fourth dimension. Another thing the fourth dimension's been called is a tesseract. The tesseract. But what I do know is if time's the fourth dimension, you can travel at any point in time. So again, if a ghost goes to a different dimension, or spirit, if heaven's in a different dimension, you should be able to. You exist, going to exist, and have existed all at the same time.
Okay.
I've just given everyone a headache with what I've said.
Let's see, what did I miss? Okay, they say believe I'm a big investigation. According to the NDA, when on the other side there's no problem or there's no time, everything is just now. So that's what you guys have been talking about. Okay.
Yeah, how if you're a ghost and you go into a different dimensional space,
Right.
technically speaking, your future self should be able to haunt you right now.
So that's what's going on in my house.
Yeah, it's you.
It's
I've had it.
me.
I've also been in places because we don't know how time works, where people have said, "What about time dilation?" So how do I know that the noise of the banging isn't me from a different time?
Good question.
How do I know the stone that's been chucked isn't a stone that I've chucked at a different point and said chuck that back? But that's happened because of a time. That's sci-fi, isn't it? There's no science fact behind that. But
Like I say, it could be your future self saying, you were
yeah.
mad at yourself that day and he threw the rock at you. So
Doppelgangers and mimics. Very true. Very true. I went
yeah.
to one location where it was just a story, so I didn't witness this myself, but they were setting up for the evening. So they all turned up during the day and they set up for the evening because there was loads of guests coming and I was one of the guests. And on that evening, they took out their dictaphone to do an electro voice phenomenon session, an EVP. And they did it. Ever you here? Left a gap. What's your name? Left a gap. What's going on? Left a gap. When they played it back, which is what I did witness, after one of the questions, you could hear people talking. And they were like, wait, what? So listen to it back again, and it was them talking from earlier on in the evening when they were in that room setting up.
Yeah, that is kind of strange, isn't it?
So
Hey Ryan, how's it going?
it'd be like before we did this, what we're doing now, if we did an EVP session at the start, and then it
Right.
picked up this point of the conversation that we're at now, and you play it back, and then that's what's playing. I mean, to a skeptic, it's they've asked those questions out earlier on, and they're just playing that back, and they haven't recorded it at all, right? To a skeptic, and it's completely rigged, but it's a fun thought.
So, well, you got to throw all that out there. You never know. It's everybody's got a theory,
Nonsense.
and until we can figure it out, there's so many possibilities.
Parallel realities, parallel universes. Don't even go there. We'll go down a rabbit hole. I mean, they're now saying that the universe is infinite, and if the universe is infinite and life is finite, that means that there's literally another Earth somewhere in the universe, and we're having this exact conversation.
Yes, exactly. Well, what do you believe in life in other
Aliens.
on other planets?
I think it's probably inevitable that there's going to be some degree of alien life somewhere. Just by, well, first of all, how there's so much out there, even if it's bacterial. We already know that in the glaciers of Antarctica, that deep underneath, where it's not even oxygen, I think it's like sulfur dioxide down there, there's literally life living there. There is the identical conditions of Europa, one of the moons around Jupiter. So it's believed that there's probably life deep under these like glaciers on Europa. But they're going to be looking into that. Now, the second they find bacterial life on another planet where life can happen a second time, that means it could happen everywhere. Intelligent life, that's a different story.
Right, right. Well, I'm
Yeah.
saying, life is life, but I mean, it's. I do believe there's something besides just us.
But if it's infinite, the universe, which means it goes on forever, like infinity, and life is a finite thing, then it could happen again and again and again and again. That's how maths works. If you've got an infinite amount of typewriters and an infinite amount of chimpanzees, eventually you get the full written pages of everything Shakespeare's ever made. That's how maths works. So if there's an infinite amount in the universe, life could happen again, identical to what it is right now. Literally, there could be another 1,000 me and you. Scary
Oh boy,
thought.
they're in trouble if there's 1,000 of us. Let's see. Ryan says the new James Webb Telescope proved the universe is expanding by 8% more than we presently thought.
It's speeding up as well.
Yes, because eventually
You-
they say that there will be more time.
That's dark energy, I think. It's either dark energy or one of them is keeping the galaxies together. The other one is expanding everything away. Dark energy and dark matter. That's what does my head in with science as well. Any scientists here? Right? This is what does my head in. So I think it's like 90%. Don't hold me to this. 90% of the known universe is made up of either dark matter or dark energy. The other 10% is what we know already, like,
Right.
the things that make things work, like normal physics. Yet, they've never seen the thing that's dark energy or dark matter, hence why it's called that. They can only see the effects of what it's doing, speeding the
Right.
universe up or holding the galaxies together. They don't know what it is, they don't know how it works, they can only see the effects.
It just does.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
Ryan
They
says it
just
makes me
accept it
confused.
and go, that's a thing, it's called dark energy and dark
That's it,
matter.
right.
However, I get an item, clearly like a ladder lifting up by itself and slamming down, or something bumping through here. Let's say every single avenue of a possible, feasible, plausible thing has been written off, and it's literally that's mental. I present that to the scientific community, and they don't accept it. And I go, but I have something with the effect. Your effect is universe growing. My effect is items moved by itself.
Right.
Why are you looking into something out there in space, which we're not really a big thing, really? I mean, space is a big thing, but in irrespectable to an anomaly going on planet Earth, where you live on
Right.
Earth, this anomaly happens, right? And it's an unknown anomaly, but you're more interested in that one up there.
Right.
That does my head in.
Because that's what they do. It's
It does my head in. They don't. They just.
they don't know what goes on here on the planet that we live on. And then we're reaching out, which we should reach out because it's important to know what's going
There's
on
different
there.
departments for different things. I get that, but it's like
We need to understand what's going on here too.
I don't think there's a scientific group at the moment that study the realms of the paranormal. Even if they don't believe in the paranormal, I think it still needs to be studied, and they need to do it in different ways. Like they need to accept that it's not repeatable and that it's like random. And these
first they need to accept the science. Period. Right now, they don't. That's why nothing is put into it. If they accepted
years ago they did
science, then we would have better equipment and more people, diving into this to figure out what it is. But as far as they're concerned, it's just a pseudoscience and it's something, and it's in the back corner, and that's not important enough to waste time or money on.
That's where it lands. It's about the money. It's about who's going to finance it.
Right.
Most people just see it as like pseudoscience, like you're saying. It gets completely condemned. And then if any scientist does go into it, they lose their credibility.
Oh, automatically, yeah.
Whereas, it might not be a ghost or it might not be a demon or whatever people call it, but it might actually be a real thing. that it could be like they say, "Oh, what's the point? How would we make money?" Well, let's say for argument's sake, it was like psychokinetic energy, like we were talking about telekinesis and stuff like that. You could then use that energy to power the entire national grid, and it wouldn't cost a penny. There's where the money's at.
Right. Well, if they don't profit off of it, then they don't go into it. See, that's the thing. Money rules the world, and if they can't find a way to profit off of something, they don't put any energy into it.
Mm.
That's the sad part. Yeah, you're right, Ryan. Most scientific methods start as a guess until
Does
somebody
that
comes
mean
up with
technically what I'm doing when I mean what my personal feelings are and the person I am and how I go about in my own mind might be separate to what an episode portrays. So in an episode, I'm trying to put something together to entertain you whilst maintaining integrity and truth and honesty. Whereas me as a person, I might be very much more like, let me take this apart and have a look.
Right. Right.
That makes sense.
You're right, Friday. Cars can run on water. My father's talked about that for years. Also, I've seen where somebody has converted vehicles to run by having wood. It's just really strange, but see, there's no money in that for the big
Mm.
guys, so that's why we're all stuck still using gasoline and oil and all of this stuff. Because they're making the profit off of it. Sean, don't they realize that their subject was a pseudoscience at one time? Exactly. And
A
they
lot of
they
this
put
stuff.
more time and energy into it than they do the paranormal field.
But then they're putting energy into like, oh, let's build this huge hadron collider and fire particles at each other to try and figure out if the Higgs was real. Oh, the Higgs is real, right? What have you done with it then? What is that solved apart from it's real?
See, like it's Ryan's just stated there, technology should be about 60 years ahead of what we are now. It's been held back because of profits. Sell more and more. You're right. If they don't make a dime off of it, then there's no energy put into it.
That's why like we ended up going to space anyway, because that wasn't so much a money thing. That was about like trying to get there before certain other countries. We won't get into the
Yeah, and
politics.
we're screwing this planet up. They need a place to escape to. That's what it is. We're screwing up this planet. Once this is gone, we're screwed. So they figure we better hurry up and find somewhere else that we can screw up.
That sounds like Apple iPhones as well, what he's just put there.
Well, the light bulb had a long lifespan, so they have the life of it to sell more bulbs. They do this with everything. You're right. I'll show you a prime example. We had a store here years ago. It was called Montgomery Ward's. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It was a department store, and the technicians of this department store come up with this microwave. And usually, when they develop microwaves or any kind of appliance, it usually has a shelf life. They'll get 5 years out of it. Well, they developed this microwave to have no shelf life. And they put it into the public, and only so many of them, because we ended up having one. This microwave lasted about 30 years. And it was amazing. Now, to this day, do you know of any other electrical appliance that's lasted that long? And that was just an experiment, and it actually worked. But again, they didn't produce more of them because what kind of profit are they going to make off of something when you only have to buy it every 30 years?
Yeah. Oh, I know. RAM in a computer that lasts forever. You're gonna be thinking then, what could last for ages? That they put a lifetime warranty on RAM, but by the time it breaks, it's like you're like 18 versions ahead.
Yeah. It says, they have to have that shelf life so that you're going to buy more and more and more.
I've got a CB radio up there that I'm pretty sure still works.
Oh, God, I have one of those too. And yeah, they work.
Yeah. That's what the world ends. that still works, so we can
Oh yeah.
chat.
Yeah, we have a few of them. Back in my father's day, that was a big thing. The CB radios, the what's the other ones there? I'm totally just gone brain dead. I can't remember it. Jesus, it's ham radios, that type of thing. So yeah, anything, if anything, technology pretty much cramps out on us. Those things are going to work.
Hmm.
Let's see. Ryan says everyone had a patent on new energy inventions. They have died in weird ways. Yes, they have. Yeah, because there was one time where it was made where it was free energy for everybody, and they nixed that because where's the profit? You can't make profit off of free.
Talking of inventions and stuff, right? What's people's thoughts? We're getting a bit, because it's gone a bit conspiracy here. What's people's thoughts on like the lost books of like Alexandria, where they all got burnt in the fire, and the pyramids?
Right.
What time is it? I've just started a conversation which is going to go on for another hour.
Well, they do claim that the pyramids were a source of energy.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. That they were like giant batteries or something.
Right, right. So Friday says, just can't wait till they put AI on a quantum computer. The AI thing really scares me. It really does. It's weird how I think it's going to cause a lot of issues, to be honest with you, especially in the paranormal field. Because if you're worried
Mm.
about people faking now, what with the
Oh,
technology we have now,
I mean, you could probably now literally put into an AI video generator. I put a film in a haunted house in room where such and such item moves, and have demon come out of cupboard and make it look real, and it will probably do that for you,
yeah,
and that's a big problem.
right. Because I've had a lot of conversations with the debunking community, saying, "Do you think that this is going to cause bigger issues with you guys trying to detect who's fake and who's not because AI is so good?" Oh, it's only going to get better. A lot of them said no. Some of them say, yeah, they're a little worried about it. Because right now I can't even detect when I'm watching somebody if something's fake or not because I just don't have the eye for it. But when now you're putting in the computer generated stuff, forget
Yeah,
it.
yeah. At the moment, AI is still a little bit with people. Like you could say, generate a hand, and it like all the fingers would be like, it'd be like
Right,
this.
right.
It just can't do it.
Friday said modern footage is no longer any form of proof. It's just so hard. It really is. Even for the debunkers, because if they're doing their job, but then they still can't come up with the proof proving that somebody
Tell you what,
faked, then it's
Yeah, I
just their
know.
opinion.
I
So
don't. I personally don't think either that you should be debunking something unless you. If okay, this is where it stands for me. If I have to prove that something is unusual or paranormal by making sure that I've covered every single avenue before claiming such a claim, then on the other foot, you shouldn't be able to debunk something unless you have fundamentally proved like there's clearly a string. You know what I mean? I don't think that you can debunk something based off of assumption. Oh, they're
right,
probably someone round the corner. We can't see them. Well, did we see anybody in a mirror around the corner? Is that happened in this? You've just made an assumption, right?
right, right,
And I don't think you should be. If the believers have to prove fundamentally 100%, the debunkers have to prove 100%. In my opinion, I think it works both ways. Otherwise, it's just the hypocrites. If whoever doesn't do that is a hypocrite, should I say?
yeah. I mean, in the beginning, of course, a lot of them haven't been debunking a lot of stuff lately. I don't know, maybe some of it's run its course. I don't know. I hope not, because I consider them like the paranormal police. But when they first started doing it, they were actually showing you like, oh, see, can you see the string? It would be highlighted.
Yeah.
There's string pulling that, or here, or did you see that guy's arm? He hit that. So they're actually showing you the proof right there on the video.
I'll give you an example. So what we were talking about earlier, I don't want to go too much into it again, but the person that had a little pop at some of the stuff I did, one of the things that he claimed was, oh, the big guy around the corner is the one responsible for knocking the wall. Nowhere in my videos is Josh, he's the big guy, knocking the wall. In fact, the scene in which he spoke about, when Josh is so say knocking the wall, there isn't any knocks in that actual scene. The scene is when Josh is further in the room, and then I supplied actual footage of Josh standing still and not knocking the wall.
Right.
And that was a claim based off of false pretenses of something, of an assumption, which is where what I'm saying, you can't do that until you know 100%.
Right, until you could show the proof.
Yeah. You need.
Yeah, like Friday says, the burden of proof is on the one who makes the claim, be it the presenter or the debunker. Yes.
Yeah. Because what you're going to run up to, I mean, yeah, everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Critical Sam. Hey, I've been trying to get hooked up with you, Critical Sam. He's been waiting about this topic.
everyone's really. Everyone's entitled to their opinion on something, but
exactly.
When you're such a big voice on the internet, like to a point where you're an influencer, your opinion of you could say, in my opinion, I think somebody must be around that corner. That's taken as gospel and fact, and then suddenly it goes beyond an opinion and it becomes a fact, and then people go, that individual's fake because this person said that. Now, what that could end up doing, under some circumstances, not all, but in some circumstances, let's say there's a genuine investigator out there that is not faking, and they're doing it alone, and they're getting quite big on YouTube, and finally, they're doing something that they love doing, and they've spent their time doing it. Then someone comes along and makes a judgmental claim on something based on opinion alone and not fact. And it destroys this person because this person suffers with like depression and have had problems in their life, etc., etc. And then they go away and commit suicide based off of a lie. That's where the problem could, you know what I mean? That's an extreme scenario.
Right. You're right. No, it's snowball into something it shouldn't. So if they don't, I think that they need to get back into. A lot of them still do it. They still point out everything like they're supposed to. But again, if you're only going to state that it's opinion, or well, this is, but I can't prove it, then yes, you need to state it. It's just your opinion that it might be faulty. But I liked it when they did it the old way, where they pointed out everything exactly, showed you the masking in the film clips, because that just blew my mind. I didn't even know people could do that. In the beginning. That was a long time ago, but they showed you how the difference and how the masking is done, and like I said, with the strings and all of that. So it's great.
Critical Sam, that is correct. That is correct. Everything that he said he thought was something wasn't something, and everything was a guess. There was a couple of feasible things where it was like rational explanations, which I took on the chin as possibilities. But anything claiming something as not being real, waffle.
So yeah, just a matter of opinion. So yeah, it's and no, not for nothing. As long as they state it that way, this is my opinion. You look for yourself. You make up your own decision. That's okay.
Well, that's not. Yeah, I mean, that's not where the problem comes. It comes from the people that, like I was saying, like people that follow your word as gospel. And even if you said my opinion, like, an extreme example of this is, I can't believe I'm using this as an example. I'm really like stretching here on this example, but technically speaking, Adolf Hitler never actually said to kill Jews. He just went, could somebody just deal with them? In my opinion, they're bad. And then his followers took that as, well, we got to kill him then. And then then genocide happened. all off the back of one person's influence.
Yes, all it took was the one person.
Yeah, and that's what that's a very, 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 very extreme example, and I couldn't think of anything else.
Right. Well, okay, well, I get what you're saying. As somebody that is in that kind of position where others look up to them, and if they do
Yeah,
make an assumption, then of course they're stating it's their assumption and only their opinion, but you can't control what the
what
followers
the
are going to do.
followers are thinking, and it's like, no, that is the
Right.
correct thing. You are right. That's it. It's and then next thing you know,
Right. It all blows up. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the problem right there. Ryan says, I didn't realize how much was masked or fully faked until I started watching debunkers. Me neither. Me neither, Ryan. I was floored. I just go out, film, see what I get, and have got a few things. Can't explain, sure, a lot of natural, but some. See, that's why I'm raw paranormal. If I film something, that's what you're getting. Because I suck at editing. I don't have time for editing.
don't even go
With
there.
everything that I'm
I try to
doing,
make a bloody narrative and everything. I'm like, right,
yeah,
let's
no,
have a
I just put it
narrative to
out
this. I
there.
need my music here, music there. Got to keep it creepy. Takes me forever to do.
See, that's it. I don't have time for that. I I have a household to run. Well, actually two, because I take care of my elderly parents. My mother's got dementia, so that's a full-time job. I'm doing a magazine for the community, and now I'm helping out somebody run a paranormal page on Facebook that I just took on. So there's no time for editing.
No, I can that I can imagine. I mean, it takes up enough of my time to let alone.
Oh, I've seen,
It'd be so much easier. Do you know that's what does my head in as well? Like the insult of my intelligence and stuff of just like going, oh yeah, you're faking something. Do you know how much easier that would be? I'm going out and spending 4 to 8 hours in a location, freezing my nuts off,
right.
shouting at air for hours when I could just roll up, set up some stuff, edit it in my house, and bang, video done. And that would take me like less time.
Just throw it out there. Friday likes editing. Well, then we'll send it all to you.
Yeah, I'll send you my entire. So I went to the farmhouse. I've been there 3 nights now, and I used about 7 cameras. So and I was there for 4 hours a night. So do the maths. That's how much footage I have.
Hours. I've seen it all. Like when I watched uh Jimmy when Ghost Quest do his documentary there about Carmel, Maine, 4 years, and I tell you, he needs to win an award because it was fantastic. But God love him. I don't have that kind of patience. I just so yeah, I just put it out there, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions on anything, that it's right there in your face.
I did it in uni and stuff, like filming and editing and that. So I sort of just like it rolled over, and then I knew I wanted to make something, and then sort of like the paranormal fell into my lap, I suppose.
Right.
Started documenting it.
Yes, yeah, Jimmy did a great job on that. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, please check it out. The Ghosts of Carmel, Maine, Ghost Quest, Jimmy. It was just totally. I mean, it was the kind of story that just reached into your soul, kind of story. It actually brought me to tears. So he did a great job. Yeah, he is a beast, and he's good at editing and doing all of that. And there's some people that got it, and other people don't. And I'm just one that I think if I really just dove into it, I probably would be okay. But like I said, I don't have time. So when I do go out, I film what I film, and it's out there, guys.
It is what it is, how it is.
So you can't say, well, gee, she did that. No, I didn't, because I don't know how. I don't know how to mask. I don't know how to do any of that crap. And I don't want to be bothered.
Wait, whoa. Hold that thought. You know how to chroma key, because you're doing it right now.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, that's how you've got your green screen up with a background.
No, this compliments a StreamYard.
Yeah, it's
You just
chroma keying. You're chroma
you
keying.
click the button and it shows up. If I had to do that on my own, you would see my workshop behind me. And I don't think people want to see power tools and all that shit. So that's why it's covered up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I like StreamYard. You push a button, it shows up. Ooh, that's creepy. That's great. That works for me. Let's see. Ryan says, I do think he caught some stuff while there too. Just bad, some fake stuff, and money got involved. Kind of messed up. I liked Carl. I mean, well, he liked it too, Ryan, and he believed in it, and that's why he put so much into the documentary. Because when he found out that the guy was pulling a fast one on everybody, that kind of hits home. You know, when you believe in something, and then somebody just pull. It's like pulling the plug on you.
The
You know,
worst
so
one is these people out there which are financially gaining off of people thinking they've got a haunted house and that they're suffering.
yes,
That's really wrong.
yes.
Like there's people out there which is like they're fake, but now it's like tongue in cheek. It's like it's obviously fake, and if you believe it, then you're literally the most gullible person out there, and that's Smug Puppy.
He is a hot mess.
It's like he's just got things like the most like worst portal thing appearing on his roof and then like clothes falling and just being like
Yeah.
and it's the worst editing in the world. I need to do some parodies on it. That's another thing I've been thinking of doing is parodying other people on the internet. So I'm gonna do one of Smug Puppy. You're hearing this
That
here
one will be
because
fun.
no one else knows about this. So I'm basically going to be sat there, and then I'm going to be having like the worst effects going on in my background and going, oh my god, my house is haunted. Just like proper
Right.
taking the
Yeah.
mick out of Smug Puppy.
He's so full of it. Well, we do have one guy, Paranormal Seekers Josh. He showed us how Smug Puppy does that stuff. You know, where they have the camera just comes through the portal through the wall, and it's just like, you gotta be
Cat
kidding.
one. Have you seen that? Have you seen the cat one that Lee fell off?
No, I just can't watch this stuff. It makes my brain want to explode.
Oh,
So I catch tidbits here and there.
it was a green screen. Like you literally go on YouTube now and type in green screen cat running, right? And it runs across his floor, and it's literally the same cat from the green screen on YouTube. And I pointed it out in
Right.
plain text to people, and still people come on my video and went, well, what's the dog chasing after then? Why is this happening? Why can you explain? And I'm like, I've just showed you the actual thing that he's downloaded.
Right.
Like, how can you possibly still believe this? I don't know.
They do, and they support him. Yeah, well, whatever makes them happy, I suppose. But yeah, then they get very, very angry when you point it out that it's not the real deal.
I tried calling out Lee from Really Haunted when before Beardo or Mr. Grey was really on the scene. Purple was dabbling on the scene, and
He's brilliant.
I was watching him, and I was typing, and I was being really interested in all his videos, going, "This is mental, this is mental, this is mental." And then I messaged him basically saying, "Hey, is it possible to come round and take a look at this, like witness it for myself, even if it's like off the record and not filmed?" And he was just like, "No, you weirdo! I don't want people like coming round." And I was
Nice.
like, I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, well, like, oh, you just like there's too many stalkers out there. I don't want to show. I don't want you coming around and talking about my house or having people know what my house is like inside. And I'm like, you literally showcase your house on YouTube. Like, are you all right, mate? It's like and then I started questioning certain things, like saying, "Oh, this looks like that, and that looks like that." And then he blocked me, and then he deleted all my messages. So then
Yeah,
anything
he's good
negative
for
he got
that.
rid of, and I just saved it all. And I went, "Well, I've saved all this," and I made a little video and put it on Facebook years ago.
I think Beardo had offered the same thing. I'm pretty sure it was him. Said he would go there and investigate with him. And oh no, and he won't let nobody in.
No.
So it's
Suspicion number one, in my opinion.
there you go.
I say to everybody, if you don't you could take it or leave it with me, but I'll always say, if you want to come on one with me, I'll do it with you. And you'll see what you see on the screen is what you'll see in person.
There
Exactly
you
the
go,
same.
guys. There's his
Slightly more
invite.
scared. It's like I'm not as chilled. I'm not like in a nice calm environment like this. I'm more like, right, you here? Come on, do something then.
Right,
I'm
right. You're
like
on the
that.
edge.
Yeah.
He's on the
And then
edge.
something go boom, 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 boom. I go, oh shit, oh, what was that? That's what I'm like.
And then Josh runs away and leaves you there.
Yeah, Josh runs off, leaves me there. I got to calm down, and be like, no, Josh, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. It's a bat.
So yeah,
It was
that's
just
funny.
a bat. It was just a bat.
Thanks a lot. You just left me. So now you know if like a serial killer or something's chasing you, you're the victim because he's leaving.
Yeah, I know. But I honestly, I do. I don't. It's sometimes you just do run. There was one time I was in a place. It's called Sally in the Woods, and we were at this big tall tower on top of this big hill, and there's like loads of stone steps that go up to it, and it's quite
Right.
like this. Anyway, I'm up there. Me and Chris, we're in the building. We're doing call outs because it's said to be haunted by this girl, and then all of a sudden, this big beam of light goes across the floor, goes up, shines all the trees so you can see it, and then suddenly just disappears. So it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. So me and Chris go out. And we're like, "Hello," like this. No one up there on this mound with us. The only way up is then steps. So we look down the steps to see if anyone's walking down. Then we realise there's no way you're going to walk up those steps without a torch or down them because you're going to do a cropper. You go flying. So then I was like, in my head, I've gone from the spirit of Sally in the Woods to there's aliens here within an instant, right? So then I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that. Aliens scare the absolute crap out of me. That's not happening. We're going. So we go to, well, we were there about another 10 minutes, but then
You're
left.
not looking forward to being probed then.
So so we're walking back, right? And as we're walking back, something in the woodlands like, and then in my head, it's, oh my God, the aliens are there. And I ran all the way back about 20 minutes to the car, got out of breath halfway through, picked up a giant log and was like, come on! Like that, got back to the car, got home, listened to the footage back on that moment. It's only a fox.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they do make some really weird noises. Good night,
I
Friday.
wouldn't
Thanks
really
for
know.
joining us. Thanks for helping us with our technical questions.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you for all the technical stuff. But I wouldn't hang in about like you or your friend. You might be like, no, we're gonna stop. We're gonna see. But I wasn't hanging about. Like my head was convicted on it being an alien in the woods. And
Yeah, they make some really freaky noises.
I think anybody that once you're at the point, no matter how rational you are as a person, I think once you're at the point of utter fear, it's probably time for you to call it a night. If you're too far gone in fear, everything then becomes paranormal.
Oh
Then
yeah,
you just get paranoid, and then that's
well,
it.
yeah,
Then
that yeah, if you take into account you're tired and
yeah.
it's just after a while you got to just call it quits. Okay, guys. Well, we're at the 3-hour mark here, dudes.
Yeah, I thought you come on with me. I'll go off on tangents. We were
That's
going to finish
okay.
about half hour ago, and then I went off on another subject.
That's what I love about it. You never know what we're going to come up with and what's going to happen. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We really enjoyed your company, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please remember to subscribe to Mark's channel, Haunted Truth. And please remember to hit the like button and share. It's free, and it helps us out, guys.
Oh, yes, it does.
We really, really appreciate it. Until next time, guys, remember to live life on the raw side. Until next time, good night.
Namaste.